Blair, this is Bill Leonard. I just wanted to tell you I will be attending via telephone Zoom.
Good morning. Is my mic working?
Good morning.
Good morning. Is my mic working?
I'm a just-in-time kind of person.
All right, good morning, everybody. And ladies and gentlemen, what a great group of folks. Look at those friendly, wonderful faces. So happy to see everybody so bright and early and looking great.
Good morning.
Who said good morning?
Ken Shepro.
Oh, Mr. Shepro. Hi, how are you? I can't see your bright and shiny face. You're on.
I am coming to you from Central DuPage Hospital.
Oh,
Oh, no.
happy Wednesday.
How are you?
I am awaiting the parole board's final decision, and hopefully I'll be out of here by lunchtime.
Should we send bail money?
Let us.
Anybody call.
We've got an attorney walking into the room. He'll be able to
bail
help you out.
bondsman. Then how's it go? Send lawyers guns and money?
We'll send a basket around for
Definitely.
contributions to get you out.
He doesn't check on mine.
All right, so let us
I mean-
begin. I'd like to call this meeting of the Executive Committee to order. It's December 6, 2023. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Allen. Bates.
Here.
Berman.
Irma's here.
Doherty. Davis.
Davis here.
Ford.
Board by Zoom.
Gums.
Gums.
Iqbal. Juby. Kenyon.
Here.
Caius.
Caius present.
Leonard. Lewis.
Leonard here.
Thank you. Lewis. Linder.
Later here.
Molina.
Molina present, but I think you're calling the wrong roll
Yeah.
call.
I think so
Probably a
too.
full board.
I think so too.
I truly am.
Part two. But thanks, everybody, for being here.
Allen, Bates,
Here,
Berman,
Herman's here.
Davis,
Davis here.
Ford,
Ford here.
Gums,
Gums here.
Caius,
Caius present.
Kenyon,
Here.
Lewis,
the room.
In the room.
Linder,
the flesh.
Linda's here.
Molina present.
Sanchez,
Sanchez present.
Strathman,
Strathman here.
Surges, Tepe.
Happy remote.
Vern, can you do that again? We can hardly hear you.
Happy remote.
Oh, Vern. Are you underwater?
Vern, just try to fix your audio if you can, but we recognize you're here. For the people who are in the room, do I have your permission to allow Mr. Ford, Ms. Lewis, Ms. Gums, Ms. Molina, Mr. Sanchez, and Mr. Tepe to attend virtually?
Consent.
Everybody's consent? Yes, thumbs up.
Compliant with forum.
Yes, we are. Yes, we did the count. So we have a quorum in the room. All right, Mr. Berman, could you lead us in the pledge today?
Yes. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag.
of the United States of America, to the public
Which
represents
One nation.
nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have any public comment? I am not aware of any public comment. So Ms. Oh, my apologies. May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from November 1st and November 13th of 2023?
Madam Chair, this is Caius. I would ask for unanimous consent for the approval of minutes from November 1st, 2023 and November 13th, 2023.
All right. We have unanimous consent to approve minutes?
Yes.
Yes, okay, very good. All right, we have no public comment that I'm aware of. Okay. Ms. Hopkinson, do you have the financial reports? There she is in the back. Welcome.
Hello, good morning.
Mm.
The Finance Committee report that I gave last Wednesday is in your packet. I'll go over it just briefly, some of the highlights. We're trying to put new and more detailed reports together for all the committees. And we're starting to do that with this month's executive committee. So when you take a look at your reports for the offices that report to this committee, the county board, the Grand Victoria Casino, the Farmland Preservation, you'll notice that we have more history. I think it's important that we start looking closer at the history, at the trends of the various costs. It's a little small. We'll work on that. Maybe we can turn the report sideways when we print it. So look for that. And also starting with all the committees next week, you'll see more detailed information, more actual trend analysis information. The Finance Committee report that I gave last week, we highlighted our sales select tax revenues, and we're starting to color code those tax revenues red, yellow, green to hopefully make the way that you look at the reports more meaningful, so you can see if we're above trend, on trend, below trend. So right now, all of our tax revenues are pretty much on trend, except for the personal property replacement tax, which is unique in that it's the state distributes it to the local governments based on an estimate. And they already warned all the local governments about a year ago that their estimates, they needed to work on how they calculate their estimate. So it's a little difficult to budget for that type of tax revenue right now. So if you look at our reports, we are below last year, but we're above budget for this year, for 2023. And then we also we're starting to include graphs of all of the tax revenues so that you can see sales tax, local use tax, the RTA sales tax, income tax, the motor fuel taxes. Those are the big tax revenues. See how they're doing on trend. We're now going to start reporting on the cannabis revenue because we weren't allowed to report on it prior to having 5 cannabis organizations within Kane County. We now have 5 as of April. So we've always obviously reported on this information internally, but we couldn't disclose it publicly. So we're now going to be including that information in all of our reports. And as a reminder, we have 2 cannabis revenues. We have our local tax, and then we also receive a share of the state's cannabis tax revenue. And our local share goes into our general fund, and our share of the state revenue goes into a special revenue fund, which is under the auspices of the sheriff's office, and it can only be used for prevention and law enforcement training. On our collective bargaining agreements, believe CaneCom is in the packet today. We still have, after CaneCom, we have 7 collective bargaining agreements that have expired that are in negotiation. We're also going to start building a packet again of trend information. So in your packets, we have salary information going back to 2014 by department / office for all funds. And we'll be providing that on a monthly basis. Also, we're looking at energy costs, which is interesting because energy costs pretty much over the last 10 years haven't fluctuated that much. Very interesting. All utilities, sewer, water, gas, electric, fuel. Going to be looking a little more closely at that. So just wanted to go over high level financial information. If anybody had any questions.
I think Ms. Bates would like to have that online.
Yeah, could we have it up on the Zoom screen wherever
Follow
she's
along.
at? To end a sentence with a preposition. Thank you.
It's on
Sure.
page, thank you for, I was looking at my book, page 5 on Hopkinson's report.
I like to
Nice.
know where you are.
So keep going, keep going. So this, this is a report that's different than how we presented information. In the past, we have much more history, much more actual information so that you can see the history within a department or office, the difference.
We're on energy.
Read fast, folks.
Okay. We're trying to show little trend lines, although I don't know how good those are going to be. Keep going. You're specifically for the energy costs? Yeah, keep going.
There
Keep
we go.
going.
The little bar graph thing at the far right column is, that's there it is.
There, one more page. Keep going. Energy, there you go.
Okay, now we're up to speed. Thank you, Mavis.
There's your- Bill?
So if anyone had any questions.
What is remarkable, if you take a look at just cellular phone, look at 14 to where we are now.
Right. But our regular telephone costs have dropped.
Indeed. Oh, yes, substantially.
Yeah.
And the same thing with internet. Look at the difference. It's gone up 100-fold. No, 1,000-fold.
Tenfold. Tenfold.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Any questions?
2017.
So looking for feedback from everybody. If I know some of the stuff is small on the screen or small in the reports, but if you have any feedback, We welcome any suggestions for the types of information. We're going to start building on this. The salary information and this information is presented at gross. There's some of these utility costs that do have reimbursements from other intergovernmental entities. But if you go back to the salary one, we do obviously receive reimbursements for some of the salaries. Most notably, the Court Services Department received probably 5-6 million in 2023 from the state for their services. But we're going to work on getting that reimbursement information. And then hopefully we have this in the packet every month and we're updating it.
Yes, Mr. Surges. This is very nice, by the way. Yes,
Madam
Mr.
Chair
Surges.
Kathy, and this might be an inappropriate question, but on the collective bargaining agreements, you'd mentioned there's still 7 dangling out there. Is there a deadline? Is there a end zone for that?
Why don't we just pull those up? So go back one page.
And guys, I know you're
There you go, right
doing
there.
the back there. Thank you for everything you're trying
Yeah.
to keep up. with.
So CaneCom is on in today's executive committee. So the expiration dates are up there. The ones that are in red expired in 2022 and the ones in yellow just expired. In terms of, is there a deadline? That is probably something you'll have to ask.
I guess the point of my comment is in the budget that we've just approved, we had given a certain percentage for non-union employees that we kind of, in my opinion, did on the come. It would be my intent to go back and evaluate what the union members received at the appropriate point in time and compare that against what was just approved to make sure that the non-union and union is keeping pace with each other. So I'm just wondering if I'm putting in my calendar a date to remember that, what date might I use? Is June fair? Is May? I mean, where?
Or when all of these are going to be settled?
Yeah, just. close.
You would probably have to ask each one of those bargaining units and the
state's attorney just
and
said
the-
no, don't. So
Yeah.
I'm okay with holding that question till later.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
On the record that this was communicated, so.
Yes, and we'll make every attempt to all of you that we'll keep you equitable as best as we are able to do
Understood.
so.
Understood.
Madam
Thank you.
Chair, if I may. Is it,
Mr. Linder.
we have 4 contracts here that are a year expired. Is that our usual settlement when they settle to pay retroactive pay for that year?
yes, typically that's what happens.
So that's something we need to keep an
We're
eye on.
processing sheriff civilians right now and there's retro because it just settled last month.
Right, that's something to keep in mind as we watch this.
And the sheriff had indicated to me that both the retro back to the beginning of 2023 and his 2024 budget that he could absorb the costs without doing a budget adjustment. So.
Any questions on this report? No, I thank you. It's very, very clear, very succinct. Kathy, before you go, could you, when you do these reports, if you see any issue that's coming forward, will you let us know and highlight that so that we can take a look at it and be able to address it? If, because we have such a restricted budget right now, that if any expenses seem to be increasing, we're going to have to amend another fund so that we keep on track within our budget.
Will do.
Thank you very much. Yes, Ms. Bates.
If I'm not out of order, I would like to move to amend the agenda so that we have our celebrating milestones next.
Well, that's fine. That's
Okay.
fine. Yeah, that'll be fine.
I just can't wait.
Oh, my goodness sakes.
And to help everybody.
So if, I think that there's some people standing out in the vestibule. If they can be welcomed in and if everybody kind of scoot around a little bit so that we've got availability. And if anybody needs to sit, if someone would be willing to give up their seat, that would be fantastic. Come on up, come on up, come closer, come closer. Come on. Wait a minute. Got everybody in? Okay, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, ladies. Okay. Yes, Jamie.
Thank you. I just want to start by thanking everyone that's here, as well as our employees that couldn't come, for their decades of dedicated service to this county. I think the vast number of employees that we have with this long tenure of service speaks to the dedication of our staff. And that's something I want to make sure the entire board knows, that these are very dedicated people, very committed to their positions. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read all the names and the milestones of all the people that we're recognizing today. And then following that, I'm going to welcome up the department heads and supervisors that are present that want to speak to the skills of the employees in their areas that are being recognized today. Celebrating 10 years of service with King County, from the Circuit Clerk's Office, Joy Hyman and Donald Gateke. From the County Clerk's Office, Lynn McShane. From Transportation, Kevin Olson and David Sitko. From the Finance Department, Maria Gonzalez. From the Treasurer's Office, Michelle Scanlon. From Court Services, Molly Martinez, Carrie Brummel, Wesley Davis, and Clifton Martinez. From CaneCom, Michelle Guthrie and Mary Keating. From the Health Department, Diane Dawson and Anna Solorzano. From the Public Defender's Office, Ron Dolak, Bethany McLean, and Sandra Blake. From the State's Attorney's Office, Joseph Gay, Bridget Sabia, and Stella Lenz. From the Judiciary, Courtney Clapp and Jason Mathis. From the Supervisor of Assessments, Angela Martin and Stephen Fitzmaurice. From the IT Department, Scott Novak and Robert Enright. From the Sheriff's Office, Hayden Sinise, Jacqueline Larkin, Susan Brown, Karen Crow, John Hammond, and Russell, I'm sorry, Russell Piszczek. Sorry if I got that wrong. From the Veterans Commission, Jacob Zimmerman. With 20 years of service with Kane County, from the Circuit Clerk's Office, Jessica Swarek. From Court Services, Rochelle Matheny, Emily Saylor, Stacy Maurer, and Marcus McGowan. From the Health Department, Kristen Johnson. From the State's Attorney's Office, Rosalva Camacho and Lori Schmidt. From the County Clerk, Tracy Erickson. From the Public Defender's Office, Juanita Archuleta. From the Recorder's Office, Scott Weigand and Maya Antzak Hernandez. From the Regional Office of Education, Carrie Glenn. From the Sheriff's Office, Jacob Watson, Katie Heller, Chad Calhoun, Amy Johnson, Raul Salinas, Michael Widlars, and Juan Velasquez. And with 30 years of service with Kane County, from the State's Attorney's Office, Michelle Helbezma. From the Health Department, Juanita Gonzalez, Teresa Roman, Yvette Millett, Sol Figueroa. From the Sheriff's Department, Crystal Thompson and Michelle Lemons. And from IT, Lorraine Chichester.
Yeah, really.
And with an amazing.
She was 12.
This spot.
And with 40 years of service with Kane County, from the IT Department, Gary Erickson.
Oh, Gary.
Absolutely.
Following this meeting or following this presentation, we do have some treats and some thank you for your service awards downstairs for our employees. So please do head down to the auditorium downstairs where we do have some treats and awards for everyone. So I'm just going to go ahead and introduce from the Circuit Clerk's Office. From the County Clerk's Office.
Jamie,
Celeste.
before you begin, is Gary here?
Gary is here.
Gary,
Yes.
stand up, please.
Yeah, buddy.
May I say, he doesn't
What
look
a-
that old.
What a tenure you have had. That's,
Yeah.
thank you.
I do have one other question though. I want to know how Lorraine got hired when she was only 9 years old. My bad. Sorry.
And Gary, and I think Gary was 10, right? Okay, Jamie.
From the county clerk's office, Celeste, did you want to come up?
Microphone?
Oh,
Give her a mic.
Celeste, we need to hear, hold on.
Or like,
Microphone. Need a microphone.
Hello?
There you go.
she's gonna sing for you, Randy.
Good morning. We've,
It's it.
it's on, okay. I'm introducing our Director of Elections, Raymond Esquivel. And I was just joking that please just take it easy on him. He's under a lot of stress. But in response to all this great achievement that we have in here, I wanted to honor, first of all, Lynn McShane. These are for you.
Oh, nice.
And Lynn has been here 10 years with us. And if anybody has more information on Lynn, it would be Raymond. If you wanted to say a few words of when she maybe started, 'cause I wasn't here.
Well,
Well, I was here. but-
she started as just like support staff.
Hold the mic closer.
Ray,
please.
you have to eat it. Yeah. Yeah. Like,
She started as a support staff and then she wanted to work more and more hours, so we got her in as our call center. She runs our call center on election, early voting election day. And she works really hard and she's a great asset to our department, so.
And then real quick, see, Tracy experienced or did her service for 20 years, and she's been a great asset also. She started as a clerk doing vital records, and then she started archiving and scanning death certificates and discovered she had a passion for history. And with that, bear with me, she received her library science degree, and she was excited when Jack Cunningham asked her to be the county clerk librarian. Tracy has spent countless hours of helping other county offices as well as non-governmental patrons with research and information. She is thankful for the opportunity to help others. She's a huge asset. And she always reminds me, and maybe all of you, that if you don't send her the contract, we can never find it. So if you have contracts that are signed and executed, be sure you send a copy to Tracy. Thank you, Tracy. We honored her over a few months ago, right, with her real anniversary, so.
That's not true.
The circuit clerk's office?
Has to be changed.
As usual, I'm very prepared. First, we have Jessica Skorick. She's been with us 20 years. Amazing. Because I always think Jessica is so much younger than she is, not by her actions, of course. But Jessica is the interim manager right now for our court and office team, and we're very proud of her. She's doing a great job. She takes on a challenge and she really tackles it, which is very hard in management. And we all understand that, and we hope that it turns out to be a success. So Jessica's 20 years. And then we have Don Gatke in our records division. Don is a sports fanatic and a passionate animal lover, dogs especially. But Don and I have had many conversations out in the parking lot regarding our sporting events, even boxing, basketball. He's a sports guy. And then we have Joy. Joy is a joy. She is very, very tenacious with her job, and she does a great job in the business processing support. I always forget what they call that. Hi, Sandy. I worked with Sandy back in the 80s. So if you guys want to come on up and get your certificate, we have to go downstairs, but can we get a picture? Okay.
And from Court Services, who's going to speak on behalf of Court Services? Mike Davis. Thanks.
Good morning. So those of you who don't know me, I'm the superintendent of the Juvenile Justice Center. Lisa from Court Services couldn't make it here today, but we have several people from Court Services. I'll speak specifically about my department, the Juvenile Justice Center. You guys know about our turnover there. So I have some people here today that celebrating 20-year anniversaries and 10-year anniversaries. So it's a difficult job. These guys are wonderful. They work with the kids in our community, and they do a fantastic job. So Cliff and Wesley, not sure where they went, but come on up. I did not get you guys flowers. Hey, though, come on up.
Budget, we set the budget.
Good morning. And for the probation side of things, we have people that are celebrating 10 years and 20 years. So we've got Molly Martinez here celebrating 10 years, Carrie Brummel also celebrating 10 years. My partner in crime, we've been partners working pretty much in the Aurora office for the last 19 years. She's celebrating her 20 years, Emily Saylor, Rochelle Matheny, 20 years, Stacy Maurer, 20 years, and Mr. McGowan was already recognized on the detention side of things. Probation, we have a lot of turnover as well, especially since COVID. So being able to reach these type of milestones is absolutely amazing when you're working in community corrections. It just shows their level of dedication and support to the clients and the taxpayers of Kane County. So if they could come up for a picture.
Okay, next up from the state's attorney's office, I think John Frank is going to speak.
Thank you. My name is John Frank, and I'm the chief of civil. Regretfully, the state's attorney and first assistant couldn't be here today, but I at least wanted to make sure we recognize the 4 individuals that were able to make it today. So the 4 that were able to make it was Joe Gay, Rosie Camacho, Lori Schmidt, and Stella Lenz, and I would please ask them to come on up. If there was anybody else that couldn't make it, or that was able to make it, I'd ask them to come up as well, please.
On how many years each? 10? 20?
Yeah. I don't think you have to state your name and office when you're giving.
Next up, we have transportation. Do we have Tom Rickards here?
Tom Rickard from the Division of Transportation. David, can you come up, and Kevin? I just wanted to mention that these two individuals are celebrating 10 years of service, and Kevin Olson is from our maintenance side of things. He takes care of our highways in the midst of storms or during the summer, the maintenance aspect. He's also in facility maintenance as well. And then David Sitko is one of our construction engineers. Both of these individuals are very dedicated. They work long hours on many occasions. They're working on weekends. They're working in the evenings. Kevin works on holidays. I mean, there's a lot of dedication to ensure that the public has roadways that are safe. With David Sitko, David spends a lot of time ensuring that tens of millions of dollars worth of construction is going in correctly, and that the pavement lasts for a long time on our roadways. So again, two very dedicated employees. Thank you both for your service.
Next up, we have CaneCom. Michelle.
Hi there, Michelle Guthrie, Director of CaneCom. So Mary Keating isn't here today. She is celebrating her 10 years. She's actually been in the field of 911 dispatch for about 17 or 18 years. Mary has worked midnight shift for CaneCom, which is why she's not here. She was up all night dispatching. And she's just a great asset to our team. She came from a neighboring communication center, and she's been with CaneCom for 10 years. And I'm jumping ahead a little bit to the sheriff's office. Shelly Lemons, 30 years. So she spent a ton of time, the last 29 with CaneCom, as a 911 telecommunicator, supervisor, trainer, all the different positions. So while she's not with CaneCom exclusively anymore, I just want to highlight her dedication and service for the last 30 years. Thanks.
Well, and we should, because Michelle's having an anniversary as well. So we also need to make sure we recognize Michelle Guthrie for her amazing service. Next up, we have the Health Department. Michael Isaacson.
All right, this is such an exciting day every year, not just for our own department, but seeing so many faces that we've worked with across departments. I'm really excited to introduce Kristen Johnson, who's celebrating 20 years today. She's worked in our environmental health team through that whole time. And I think for all of us, it's really fun, as we talk about like our work families, seeing our families grow. So watching people's kids and how their families grow. But every day at work, Kristen has really dedicated herself to making sure that our residents are healthy. She's moved into a leadership position and has been really invaluable for us. So congratulations, Kristen, on 20 years. Then we have 4 people who have been at the health department for 30 years. So I always have them grouped together in my mind, that they're the people who've worked in various programs, helping families in need. And Terry Roman, who I've had the opportunity to work very closely with in my time at the health department. Like I said, working in our family case management program, really making sure families who don't have resources are connected with programs. She still does that on a daily basis at the health department. Yvette Millette, who is here, who again, in that quattro of people who've been here 30 years, working across different programs, making sure that everybody who needs something from the health department is able to get it. And then we also have Juanita and Sol, who weren't able to be here today, but 30 years is amazing. So really appreciate it. Thank you both.
From the Public Defender's Office, do we have anyone from the Public Defender's Office here? I don't think so. From the Sheriff's Department. Susan is, oh, you're right here. Sorry, I didn't know where you were sitting. There you go.
Thank you. And I am so honored to be able to represent the Sheriff's Office today and announce to you the people in attendance who have reached milestones with Kane County. We have John Hammond with the Court Security Department or Division and currently on loan to the TAC Ops area of the Sheriff's Office. John, do you want to come up? From Court Security, Chad Calhoun, Sergeant Chad Calhoun. He has been with the Sheriff's Office for 20 years, and it's an awesome milestone. Thank you, Chad. I'd like to call up Shelley Lemons. Thank you, Michelle, for I don't have to read everything that the undersheriff wrote because you did give a great history.
Louder, please.
She is with she's our leads coordinator now at the Sheriff's Office, and we're really extremely happy to have her with all her knowledge, 30 years of experience, and just being able to lead us through the security and all of the important information that needs to be imparted throughout the county and other agencies. Thank you, Shelley.
Do we have anyone present from the Supervisor of Assessments Office? Finance Department, Kathy?
Hi, Maria Gonzalez. Come up here, Maria. Maria Gonzalez has been with the county for 10 years. She's been with the Workforce Development Unit. So although this office is part of finance, it also works under the Office of Community Reinvestment. And Maria makes sure that all of the reimbursements and all the money for the program comes in on time and that it meets all the eligibility requirements. Very tedious job. She has pulled it all together and keeps it running smoothly. So congratulations, Maria.
Next up, we have the IT Department. Roger?
All right, good morning. Roger Fonstock with IT and Building Management. Today we have one person that's not here with us. I'll go through him first, Bob Enright. Bob was a project manager with us. Bob started when we did the Odyssey Court implementation. He actually came from Will County. I think he'd worked at Will County for 10 or 20 years as well. So Bob's not with us, but I just wanted to wish him congratulations on 10 years. And we also have Scott Novak. Scott, if you want to come up. And then we have Lorraine Chedister, 30 years. And we have Gary Erickson. Gary's got 40 years, but Make sure this thing's on, right? Okay. So Scott is one of the people that works in our service desk and support. Scott is one of the people that is helping you with your technical support needs and service and support. He's been working with us 10 years. Does an incredible job. We're so thankful for him and the people that he trains and works with. He also does a lot of work just teaching other people how they can use software and services in the computer systems department. So Lorraine is 30 years. Lorraine, she works in GIS. She's also worked in the IT department. She's been an office manager for both departments. I'd actually like to recognize her for CaneCom too, because during a couple intermissions, she went over there and helped the office manager for CaneCom as well. So Lorraine's spent 30 years with us. If you know Lorraine, she's got a great personality. She's always willing to take on any challenge. And I really respect her and appreciate everything she does as a friend and as a coworker. Lastly, we have probably the guest of honor, which is Gary Erickson. No pressure. Gary's been with the county for 40 years. Gary started, 40 years ago as a programmer, and they called the department data processing back then. Dale Berman probably sold some of the equipment and services to Gary at that time. But Gary's been with us for 40 years. He's progressed through almost everything in the department, whether it's network services, computer systems, programming, project management services. Real quickly, in terms of projects, I've been with the county 20 years. Gary's been working with me on projects for 20 years. Gary's been a part of the replacement of almost every system in the county. He's helped us with replacing the finance system early on when I started. He also went through a series where we had an effort to get project management training and education for our employees. And then we also did the move of the 911 center when we moved from Fabian over here. Gary was a part of managing that project. He's also been in charge of like the operations and data center operations and power systems for the county's computers. So I just want to say a special thank you to Gary. He's been with us for 40 years, many years maybe to come, but he's done a great job, and I just want to congratulate him today. So thank you very much, Gary.
Do we have anyone here from the Regional Office of Education? Oh, well, on behalf of the Regional Office of Education, thank you so much, Carrie Glenn, with 20 years of service. The county greatly appreciates your dedicated service.
He doesn't get out.
No, you don't get a picture?
Photo op. There we go.
Do we have anyone here on behalf of the record? Oh, okay, good. We are coming. Okay. Anyone here on behalf of the recorder's office? Your name? Very nice.
Good morning, everyone. I'm David Scholes. I know some of you from the board meetings with public service. I'm here representing the recorder's office. We have two people doing 20 years. Scott Weigand is our IT person, and he's unable to be with us today, but I want to congratulate him. And then Maya Answer Hernandez. Maya, come on up here. Maya's been here 20 years. If anybody deals with the recorder's office, they probably know Maya because Maya does everything. Maya's a jack of all trades. She handles our copy center, our scanning. She deals with customers. She's just absolutely wonderful to deal with and to work with. And I love her, and I'm so happy that she's here. Congratulations.
And for the Veterans Commission, is Jake here? I don't know if Jake is here. Jake Zimmerman, he's the superintendent of our Veterans Commission. And he left. Okay, well, Jake is fantastic and we all love Jake. He seemed to had to leave this morning, but Jake is celebrating 10 years this year. There someone from the judiciary and the courts here? Well, Jason is here and Jason is also celebrating 10 years. So I will just say Jason's fantastic and we love working with Jason.
On behalf of the judiciary, I'm privileged to get to work with a lot of different departments in here. In 10 years, I've worked some midnight shifts with Mr. McGowan here, done transports with Mr. Davis and Mr. Martinez. So to honor them, to honor Emily, to honor everybody in these departments is amazing. For the judiciary, we have one employee who is our judicial assistant at the civil division at 3rd Street, is Courtney Klatt. We've talked the last few years about essential employees. Nobody at 3rd Street is more essential than Courtney. She does an amazing job. The judges run everything through her. She does a great job for them and for us. So come on up here, Courtney. 10 years for Courtney Klatt.
From the treasurer's office? Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Michelle, would you come on up? It's going to take a few minutes to get here. It's not that it's hazardous duty over in the treasurer's office, but Michelle, thank you so much. Oh, yes, I understand. Okay, backing up. Good. Well done, Michelle. Well done. Well done. So Michelle works in the collection, the tax collections. And, when somebody comes and kicks her in the shin, it built, no, unfortunately, about a month ago, Michelle broke her ankle and she had to have 2 surgeries. And it's like you can't, stand in Michelle's way. She's gotten back to work right away. So we appreciate her very much. She helps collect $1.4 billion. It's the fuel of local government, the county and local government. And that's from 195,000 parcels. So different taxpayers, 195,000. And the person who gets to do all those reconciliations is Michelle. God love you. So, the other thing that's interesting at about 10 years, for those of you who are on the Tier 2 IMRF, that was like pared back, benefits reduced actually significantly, but strengthen the plan. That in Tier 2 takes 10 years to vest. And, younger people, they don't think about that so much, but as people get older, it's really a wonderful benefit and benefit of working for any government, but county government. And people who denigrate it, it's really a shame because they should see all of you every day in the work you do and how you go the extra mile. And Michelle, we're very grateful for the good work you do.
Just wanted to say thank you to everyone that was able to come and speak on behalf of our amazing employees. Every single employee, not just the ones that are having milestones this year. They keep this place running. So thank you to everyone. Again, I want to invite everyone downstairs to the auditorium. We have some treats. I want to say thank you to Walmart, who actually donated all the food kindly for this event. So everything downstairs was donated by Walmart for us. So please head downstairs, enjoy. There's coffee, donuts, and other treats downstairs. Thank you.
Council. Sure, then someone complaining, isn't it?
I think so. But I might be 19. I've been here as long as we have my. I was here before.
I agree. Let's get this done. So we got information about this issue.
I think so, and I don't know. Boy, we have might.
I just don't know.
There won't be there long.
That's why.
How are you?
Be here.
A long time, think of it.
I know you want to hug me.
There you are. We wouldn't know what to do without you.
Yep, I love my job.
Up really fast and go down for donuts, right?
Yeah.
How cute is that?
That was fun.
Yes. Amazon shopper.
Sit here and clap.
I'm going for the 40. I'm going for the gold star.
Almost have something to say about mine, so
Well, I'll just
you'll
move-
probably outlast me.
I'll just move to St. Charles.
My shelf broke.
There's room at his house.
Yeah.
He's got 10 votes with you.
Yeah.
He's got the basement ready.
Yeah.
It's getting there. It's almost.
Oh, thank you very much, girl.
All right, with all the congratulations, can we call meeting back to order, please?
That was it, right? Important stuff's over?
Yeah, let's go downstairs and get some donuts. All right, do we have everybody seated? Yes.
Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you.
Mr. Caius is here. Okay, we're all good. So I think we have now your report, Ms. Mann.
Charles, could you bring up my slides?
Okay.
Okay, so welcome, good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, as it would be. I've already snapped enough pictures to last me the week. So I just wanted to bring you up to date with what I've been doing the last couple of weeks since we last met. I did host an event for other communications people throughout the county. I'm trying to take the lead in organizing events that benefit communications, public information officers in our municipalities. This was with Deputy Chief Chris Cavelli from Lake County, who you might remember was out in front during the Highland Park shooting. He gave us great information, advice, details, suggestions on how to react during crisis communications. Next slide. That was at the Gale Borden Library. I helped the Office of Emergency Management organize, well, not organize, but push out, promote their coat drive. There you see that they were very successful. Maddie's Mittens were very pleased with the response that they got. They do a great job every year. Next slide. We had the Bliss Maine Fabian ribbon cutting, which was wonderful. Everybody had a good time and the weather sort of cooperated. It was a little chilly, a little windy, but sunshine was out there. So next slide. We did take a day-long training course for non-emergency people. So we know how to react during an emergency. There's a lot of essential departments that you wouldn't necessarily think would come into focus during an emergency. But we took a full day seminar from FEMA that was very beneficial to all of us. Next slide. Obviously, Kane County Connect still continues to push out information and highlight the good work of the county board and the people and the things that they've been doing. So here you see Judge Hall and Shakita Hartburns, the two honors that they were given during a meeting. Next slide. Same thing, Kane County recognized for efforts to protect the health of the Fox River. Great picture of everybody. And I thank whoever took the picture for sending it to me. I wasn't able to be there because I was up north during my crisis communications event. Next slide. The Shines Bright Electric Light Parade. There you have the Office of Emergency Management. They did a great job of decorating the Grinch. Really appreciated their time and efforts for the parade. They are also in a parade up north as well. Same thing, but looks really great.
Dundee.
Dundee,
Let's-
right,
let's
exactly.
Call it up. Dundee.
Dundee, and I didn't have a chance
Carpentersville.
to put the picture in there, but the vehicle was
Just say up north.
Yes, you did.
Dundee.
Dundee.
And that Hummer was cool. That's
Yeah,
a
it is.
cool-
It's very,
That's a
they did
cool
it-
Hummer.
they did a really great job of
Showed
decorating.
really well.
Right. Next slide. Another article that got a lot of response was the 1,000 acres of protected farmland that the county board approved of. Really article that people were sharing on Facebook, social media, such, and in Kane County Connects. Next slide. Help the health department. They put out their mental health report. So we pushed that out for them, put it in Kane County Connects, shared it on social, just trying to show the different departments that we work with. Next slide. Kane County Animal Control, keeping pet owners healthy. Just another unique article that we wrote about the good job that, yeah, this was a dog that was singing to Brett and he responded. So next slide. Kane County's Property Enforcement Division recently hired, brand new, really working hard. So we wrote an article about them and all the good work that they're doing, that they're striving for cooperation for complaint resolution. Next slide. Kane County Government Volunteer Garden wrapped up another season. They donated a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables, actually just vegetables, to the Batavia Food Pantry. So bravo to them. They're now award winning because they got an award from the state for community outreach and volunteerism. Next slide. And then, of course, the Kane County Board. This was the budget, the meeting that went on. I think it was probably a record. I'm still working on figuring if that was it, but that obviously pushed out the good information about the balanced budget.
Cheryl, you're actually smiling in that photograph.
And probably stunned by that we're still there.
And that's my report for this month.
Okay, very good. Good pictures. Nice pictures. Okay, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Mann? Yes, Mr. Linder.
I just want to comment that it's impressive the amount of things that are getting out to the public, and especially the number of things that the newspaper is picking up, not just our connects, which we have control over, but the newspaper picking up as well. When I was running for office, knocking doors and making phone calls, people weren't sure what the county does. And that is part of the tax discussion that we end up having is what does the county do for me? So getting more and more of this out is really important to help people understand who the county is and what we do.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes, I agree. It's really taken on an amazingly positive life for the information. And to speak on Ms. Mann's behalf, if you have anything of interest in your committee, make sure that you share that with her so that she can pick up on it and post it out. Okay, very good. So we're on now to our consent agenda. Y'all ready? Mr. Sanchez. Jared, are you there?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. I am here. The button was sticking for me. I have two resolutions. We have two resolutions for you today from the American Rescue Plan Committee. I'll take a motion in a second to pass both together. The first being the use of the ARPA funds for the St. Charles Branch Court Security Camera Project, and the second one for the Kane County Health Department Behavioral Health Needs Project.
Motion. Bates seconds.
Second.
Ms. Bates. Are there any questions on any of this? All right, clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
I.
Bates, Berman,
Yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Gums, yes.
Caius, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Miss Lewis left, Linder,
Yes.
Molina,
yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
yes.
Surges,
Sturgis, yes.
Tepe. Passes.
Vern, is there any way that you can work, play with your volume a little bit? You sound very muted, like you're under a pillow.
I'll work on it.
He said, I'll work on it. From under the pillow, he said. I will.
Okay.
Yeah, get out of bed, Vern.
For, yeah.
Admin.
Admin, this is Caius, Chairman of Administration. I'd like to move resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the County of Kane and the Forest Preserve District of Kane County for volunteer stream corridor, volunteer stream corridor restoration services.
Davis, still second.
Entertain a second. Thank you very much. This is a cooperation between the Forest Preserve, obviously it says right there, I'm working on our stream right back here to have volunteers come in because they are well equipped and trained to assist in the removal of vegetation and improve and save us money as well.
It's tricky getting those two boards to work together, isn't it?
Sometimes.
Really? Any questions on this? None? Very good. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Gums,
yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Yes.
Molina,
yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
yes.
Surges,
Sturgis, yes.
Tepe. Put that your away.
All right, Mr. Tepe is still under the pillow. Okay.
Not talking.
All right, development. Mr. Ford.
Yes, if you would stroll up. All right, I have a resolution authorizing the application of the circuit court to this is when our demolitions programs, this is a partial in Rutland Township, 14 North 403 Thurnall Road, partial ID number 02-31-300-013. Can I get a motion of the second?
I would kind of move that.
Linder second.
Burgess second.
Seconds.
Mr. Linder.
Mr. Linder, is there any discussion on this building? No? Yes.
The background?
Yeah.
It's part of our program that we identify and either take action to have the owners of properties that are dangerous or abandoned be removed or improved. We have our members of the new code enforcement violation team has brought this forward. And this is one that is going to demolition. This is filing the paperwork to have it either demolished or improved. And I can speak in personal that in our area in North Illinois, where's she at? In Algonquin.
North
Yeah,
County.
North Kane, yeah. The, that we had a property that was abandoned and neglected and became a nuisance. And by encouraging through legal channels to have the owner take responsibility, had it improved, salvaged, and turned it into a viable housing for the owner up in Kane or up in Algonquin. So it's a great program. It was started by our circuit clerk. As a matter of fact, Teresa Barrero was instrumental, and probably Mr. Kenyon was on the board at the time, providing this network to or the procedure to have the properties identified and actually run through the courts if there's a problem with them.
Yeah, very good, very good. Yes, yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to add. Just wanted to add that sometimes it's just the nudging that makes the difference. So you have properties out there, and I'm sure that I'm the worst, but I'm sure that all of us have projects around the house and we want to get them done, and other things just kind of come first and then they come 10th and then they come 20th. And sometimes now that we have a real unit who can help us monitor these problems, they become projects instead of problems, and the owners will come in and say, you know what, that is worth taking care of, and I will do it now that I'm being reminded. So sometimes it's the nudging that does the work.
And I think most have been salvaged when we do that.
Very good. If there's, yes.
No,
one more.
just, we've said this year over year, this is an outstanding program that when people are at their last resort saying, what do we do? This is great. And Chris, to hear that this is the new division that or department that we put together and see this in action and taking some burden off other departments,
And bipartisan.
we do some things right.
Bipartisan support. This was
Absolutely.
Started early.
This was fabulous. So thank you so much for pointing this out.
And Mr. Van Kerkhoff is here. So do you have any comments on this?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Alan, I.
No, we haven't
Didn't start
voted
yet.
yet.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
good that you-
Van Kerkhoff, well,
I'm sorry.
certainly grateful to hear the comments of support from the board, and I concur entirely. We're so blessed to be able to hire the three people we have on the team. They're working incredibly well as individuals, but even more so as a team. They're really gelling. We're able to accomplish a lot working with folks. And our blighted structures demolition program, thanks for the history on that. The only thing I will add to that is that original effort, I'm encouraged by now Circuit Clerk Barrero, used riverboat funds to seed our blighted structures demolition fund. We have since applied for and have been awarded 3 different rounds of funding from the state of Illinois to reimburse a lot of those expenses. So when we do have to demolish a structure, through this process, we're able to get most of those funds reimbursed to that fund. So it is a truly kind of a revolving fund for us. But there's a lot of great people involved in this on our team, on the state's attorney's team, purchasing, assisting us with the bidding and everything. So it really is a complete effort by a lot of folks. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to say thanks.
Thank you for putting together.
And I have a question. The parcel remains with the owner now that the structure is gone, but the parcel remains as a taxing entity or with the owner. Is
Yeah,
that
that's correct. If we do have to go all the way through to having a court order and executing the court order to demolish the structure is leveled, the land is returned to with topsoil and seeding, so it basically becomes a vacant lot. If it remains in the ownership of the owner, if it is ever, a lien is placed on the property. So if it is ever sold, that lien needs to be satisfied as part of the sale, and that money comes back again to the program. So there's recourse down the road, but we haven't seen a lot of that yet.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, if there's no other questions, Ms. Allen, we're going to be calling the roll now.
Allen,
Alan, I think.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Gums. Ms. Gums. Caius.
Caius, yes.
Were you able to hear me?
No.
No.
Gums
Now
was a
we
yes.
can-
Thank you.
Okay.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Linda, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe.
Yes.
Thank you. I think that was a yes. All right, next, energy and environment.
I have an amendment I would like to make to resolution 23139.
Who are you?
Pardon me?
Who are you?
I am Mavis Bates, Chairman of the Energy and Environmental Committee. Amending the power purchase agreement and site lease between Kane County and GRNE Solar Field 05 to effect the following power purchase agreement rate. In the omnibus amendment on starting on page 63 of the packet, which is and the numbers on page 66, item 0420 should be changed to 0.03946, and to be verified should be stricken. That's my amendment. I move that and would ask for a second.
You're moving it as with those changes?
Yes.
I would second it.
Thank you.
Caius.
What is this? What does this mean?
This means that, and Jody's here, she can help too, Ms. Wolnick. This means that the final purchase, the power purchase agreement, the amount we will be paying for a kilowatt of electricity will be 3.9 cents, which is a good deal. It's better than 4.2 cents. And compared to the prices that we would be paying on the market, instead of from our own solar energy that we're producing, it's a very good deal. So we are purchasing in a power purchase agreement, the solar panels belong to GRNE. They lease the land from us. The equipment belongs to GRNE Solar, and we purchase power from GRNE. And so there's been some negotiations going on, and the final number, which was at 0.42 cents or 4.2 cents, is now 3.9 cents, which is a better deal. Jody, Ms. Wolnick, anything else to add? Nope. Okay.
I gave you a thumbs up.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Yep,
Mr.
Ms. Bates,
Surges.
Surges, so the anticipated lifespan of this field is
Mhm.
approximately
25 years.
So 25 years. How much, do we have any idea how much money we make in terms of the lease from the land over that 25 years versus how much we will be paying for the electricity over that? Are we ahead of the game or behind
We'll
the
be
game?
saving approximately $200,000 per year
Okay,
compared to market rate electricity, which will be a savings of $5 million over the lifetime of the project, the 25-year lifetime of the project based on, and if, as expected, as I expect, ComEd or Constellation's energy prices go up, our savings will also go up because the
agreed.
difference between the market rate and our locked in.
Mavis, sometimes
going
we
back
ask
sense.
questions just to make sure that they're on the record as we call our roll. So
Okay.
just
Am I
wanting,
done?
just
Am I
wanted to
done?
document that. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
I could go on.
I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Okay.
I actually have a question, if I may. Is this property leased?
Yes. We are leasing this property to GRNE Solar for 25 years.
Well, that question was not answered. What do we get for the lease, acre lease?
Jody, I don't think there's a dollar value.
There is not a dollar value for the lease. It's the savings that we're receiving for the electricity, the $5 million, as Ms. Bates pointed out.
Okay.
And since this was deemed unbuildable land,
Yeah,
it's that's the benefit of to the county.
okay, so we're giving it to them for their use.
Mhm.
Correct, to save us $5 million.
Okay,
Correct.
okay, very good. Thank you. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. I could go on.
We know you can. Are there any other questions on this? If not, clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
thankfully.
Berman, yes.
Davist,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Caius,
Nice, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe.
Before we get to Tepe, Ms. Gums, I see you have your hand raised.
Yes, actually, I would like to make a motion, if we can move legislative before finance. I would love that to be, seconded, so.
Oh, okay, well, let's put that on pause because we're not done with our vote yet. So hold on. Mr. Tepe?
Do we see him on?
He is on. We just can't hear him.
Vern, can you type in yes or no?
Not yet.
Or give us a thumbs up or?
Good ballot.
Ooh, the pillow.
I thought on remote, we had to be able to visually see the person.
No, we decided.
We not
Oh,
do
we
that?
got a thumbs up from Vern.
Okay,
Thank
thumbs
you,
up. There
Mr.
we go.
Tepe.
And he's wagging it. Look at that.
Raised
Very
the
clever.
camera.
Okay,
Once for
very good.
yes, Twice for no.
Okay, yes,
I don't think so. It's invasive of people's privacy.
go ahead. Okay, all right.
Never mind.
So now,
No, I think
we have a, Mr. Berman, would you mind?
not at
there's a
all.
Request. Okay, so Ms. Gums, that'll be fine, but hold on
Oh,
just a
thank
second. Let me get everybody who's in the house their packet of information that we sent to you electronically, just so that you have a reference to it. And for those people who are not here for admin, they will be in your mailbox. You'll get 2 items. So just give us
Thank you,
a
Madam
second,
Chair. I've
please.
got to go, talk to the students about finding their future.
I have one. Oh.
You didn't get one.
Flight email.
Everybody get one over there?
They didn't get one.
Actually, this.
Debbie.
We can share.
Big share?
Different one.
Take the phone to Arthur.
Thick one and a thin one.
My wife doesn't like all the stuff I bring home.
Okay, you gotta get one.
I got it.
Yeah, I got the thin one and this one.
There are 2? One. And I need one too.
There you go.
Very good. Now I do.
Actually, I saw that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Oh, I got this though.
All right, Ms. Gums, ready?
Thank you so much. I'll turn my camera on so we make Cliff happy. Before you today, we have a resolution. That means. Can you guys hear me without the echo?
Yeah, that's good now.
Okay, that's better. I'm not sure what happened there. Legislative has a resolution before you amending resolution 23-206 to adopt a new process for approving the lobbyist consultant with the invoices. What was voted on in legislative and presented to you today has number 1 and 2 on it. I know you all got an email yesterday with a different resolution. I believe it's from Mr. Iqbal. That is not what is being presented and not what was voted on by the legislative committee. So I'd like a motion and a second to move what is in your packet.
Bates moves.
To move where?
For approval.
Thank you.
Linder seconds.
Okay, Ms. Bates, Linder seconds. Okay, very good. Thank you. All right.
Okay, so
Any
I don't know if
questions?
anybody has any questions about this or anything they want to ask. Go for it.
Yes.
Surges. I just don't understand. Was this something that was already approved from committee? And why
Correct.
do we have 2 different packets? Are these competing documents or?
They're supportive documents. They're supportive documents. And if I may, there was some concern. Oh, go ahead, Ms. Gums.
Actually, Madam Chair, Mr. Surges, to your point, the legislative committee voted on what was in your packet. Madam Chair did call and tell me about the email that was sent from Mr. Iqbal. Nobody on the legislative committee had spoken to Mr. Iqbal about this. Frankly, I'm not sure why we got it. He's not on legislative and he's not on executive.
So which one of these is from Mr. Iqbal?
The one that you have in your hand.
This one?
Or thin.
The
Yeah,
thin
that's the
one.
way. Thick one or thin one?
There's the,
Thick or thin?
this is not, this is the contract and the copy of the thick one is the copy of the invoices. And the other one is Mr. Iqbal's, as I say here, revised
I
amendment.
guess my point is, I don't know what I'm voting on.
You're voting
So-
on the one in the packet, in your board packet, as presented by Ms. Gums.
Is basically without all the markups.
Yeah, without the markups.
Why can't we ever just get clean documents that aren't all marked up?
Well, you have a clean, this is Gums, you have a clean document that was attached to your packet and that is what I've proposed and was seconded for approval.
Is
Is not this.
Madam Chair?
Comes to Mr. Iqbal's.
Frank SAO. The one actually in the agenda packet is which is not marked up. The one that I just looked at that you handed me is Mo Iqbal's version. It has like a numbers of 1 through 6, where he's changed the process that's being proposed. I think his goal was to prompt an amendment, but obviously someone from executive would have to do so as he's not a member of executive.
So the thin one here that's stapled together, the first page is Mr. Iqbal's and the second page is the one that's actually what's in the packet. Is that?
No.
I would say the whole thing is,
thing is-
Iqbal's.
The whole
Yeah.
thing is Mr.
But that's not
Iqbal's.
what we're considering.
You
Correct.
could if you moved.
What's in the packet that came electronic.
Basically, this marked up one, if you take all the markups off, is what's in the packet.
No, that's not correct.
No.
So okay. Look at your packet. That's the one.
The
Okay,
one-
that's the one you're actually voting on right now. Now, if somebody wants to move to incorporate those changes, then would be a change. but the one in your packet that you received is the one that the legislative committee passed through. That is the one you're currently going to be voting on if you motion. I think you already have a motion in a second.
That's
You're
it.
in-
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
And that's what I just moved, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, this shouldn't be,
That was my next question.
I hope so.
Which one?
shouldn't be that confusing.
Okay.
I'm
well,
okay to call the vote.
I propose
Well,
amendment.
Okay. We have, wait a minute, we have an amendment to this before we call.
I
the
think we had to
vote.
call the vote.
I don't know.
Hold on.
Discussion.
I would
SAO Frank,
object without
a, mo-
objection.
a motion to amend has been made. So is there a second?
Who made the motion?
Who
to
motioned?
amend?
Berman,
To what you have in your hand? now?
yes. My amendment would be to have them approve the revised copy that we have in our hand.
Well,
Mr. Iqbal.
I don't.
I haven't read
understand
this yet. Objection. Point of
No,
order.
there's no-
Well, then,
that. Point of procedure. Yeah.
There's a motion. It needs to be seconded. That's the understand. So Berman has motioned.
Do we have a second for this?
A motion to do what?
Deputy will second. Okay, so SAO Frank, you now have a motion to incorporate Mo Iqbal's changes and you have a second. So now, because that's a priority motion, that is now up for discussion and a vote first.
May I, point of procedure? I haven't had a chance to read this.
It was sent to you.
I didn't
yesterday.
read it.
Okay, okay.
I
that's
haven't
fair.
had a chance to read it. I can't vote on that.
I agree.
if you
I-
stop talking, you could read it.
Well,
Has anybody,
if you'd stop listening.
I'm listening to you all the
Please,
time.
ladies, gentlemen, please. Yes.
Madam Chair, this is Caius. Has anyone spoke to Mo Iqbal about this? Spoken to him about it?
Yes.
What the intention of this was?
Why didn't he take it to committee?
And procedurally, I'm still really confused. We're in legislative. Have a resolution amending resolution 23-206 to adopt a new process for approving lobbyist consultant invoices. That is, so we are voting on this one that will amend a previous
So
resolution.
Madam Chair, if I may, Gums.
Yes, Ms. Gums.
Okay, so what we are going to be voting on now is essentially a substitution of what was presented in your packet with the resolution drafted by Mr. Iqbal. That is the vote that you have in front of you currently.
We're not voting to pass that. We're voting to amend what we are going to discuss.
Correct. And it has been motioned.
We
and
are going
seconded.
to vote, we are going to vote on Mo Iqbal's resolution to forward that as written instead of what was passed by the legislative committee.
Ms. Gums, you're accurate, but we are now open for discussion. It has been motioned
And,
and
yeah,
second.
I
So
was
now we are
clarifying.
open for discussion. Okay, Mr. Linder.
We have a committee process here. Our resolutions commonly come from the committee. That's what happened with this original resolution. Mr. Iqbal is not on this committee, so he wasn't able to come here and make these amendments himself. Mr. Berman did that on his behalf. But I would suggest that the committee had an ample opportunity to discuss this and vet it, and I would vote against the amendment.
Is there a reason why you would vote against?
I
it?
have a question, Shepro.
Mr. Shepro, hold on. Is there a reason, Mr. Linder, that you care to share?
Well, among other things, I think the committees do their work. If we start marking up every committee's resolutions, we're going to be in all kinds of trouble. We don't, underline things. This is just somewhat of a, I don't see it as even being professionally submitted.
I have a question about whether it is legally submitted.
I think that might be a little bit where I was going also. Davist here. I appreciate Mr. Iqbal's enthusiasm and hard work in the things that he does, but I'm having a little bit of a problem recognizing his standing here. He's, and I understand that that now a motion's been made here and that kind of legitimizes it. So effectively, it is now acceptable too. But I'm still left with the idea that he's not on legislative, Mr. Iqbal is not on legislative, he's not on executive. How did it come to pass that he was weighing in on this? We do have a committee process here, and I'm been using it for a long time, so I'm kind of comfortable with sticking with it.
Berman here.
Yes, Mr. Berman.
I think, Mr. Iqbal was saying that, you know, we've got something different with the, this committee. It does not report through an executive, director. It's the only committee that we have, I think, that doesn't, go through a board committee.
Not the only one, but yeah.
I'm sorry?
It's not the only one, but yes.
Okay. And I think that was the reporting structure and how the invoices were approved and where they should go after approval by that committee. Normally it goes through the chain of command and goes up to maybe the administrative or to the executive or to the finance committee. I guess that's the thing that Mr. Iqbal was referring to.
And but the original.
Mr. Linder?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Linder
Yes,
here.
hold on a sec. Ms. Gomes has a comment, please.
Okay.
Thank
Ms.
you,
Gum-
Madam Chair. So, Mr. Berman, to your point and everybody else, Mr. Iqbal was at legislative committee when the legislative committee voted on what is in the packet with number 1 and 2, not 1 through 6. He was there. He did not communicate any of, first of all, he didn't speak to me or Mr. Linder. I'm not sure why he took the steps he did, but I will suggest to you that in the email that I read, he had some questions with the legality of it. I will assure you that the team of our state, I will assure you that our state attorney's team has reviewed this numerous times, more than numerous times. What is presented in the packet, again, was vetted and drafted by our state attorney's office. It's a little bit offensive to suggest that our state attorneys are wrong, frankly, because that's what the email said. Well, the email said that he had questions about the legality of it. It was drafted by lawyers.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, that's correct. What is suggested is that this would be if I may, a policy change that this specific committee would face. I'm referencing item 2 in the packet. The resolution that is in your board packet. Just go on to the next page, please. Okay, here it is, number 2. The second sentence. If the legislative committee chairs deem the invoices acceptable, which you have received in your hand right now, so you have a copy of what those invoices look like. They shall approve those invoices and forward the invoices for payment processing to the finance department and the county auditor. Now, traditionally, it has been the practice of the board to send them to their executive director who would, and if has a contract with it, et cetera, they would refine that. That would go up through my office for signature, and then it would go directly to the auditor for their approval. It does not go to the finance committee or to the finance. Does not go there to the finance department at all. It goes directly to the auditor for her review. No, Ms. Wegman, perhaps you can give us the process then, please.
No, Madam Chair, Gums.
Ms. Gums, hold on a second. Penny's coming up.
So actually with the payment processing, it does go from your office to finance, who enters it into New World, and then it comes to me.
Okay, thank you. So that was a misstep. So this would be the step bypassing any other steps along the way.
Yeah.
So this would be, Mr. Linder, if I may, this would sidestep any review from my office. from the chairman's office.
Correct.
So this would be totally exempting the chairman from this specific committee to do this. The concern is that, is this a precedent that you would like to have where your committee, Mr. Davos, Mr. Caius's committee could simply supersede that, that precedent and go directly then to finance?
Well, Madam Chair,
And
to
that,
your
and
point.
that, Ms. Gums, please. Yes, it is legal if you give the authority to this committee to do that. That is absolutely authentic. But is that something that you consider that you would like to start stepping forward on? Now, there has been absolutely.
Madam Chair, point of order.
I'm almost done, Ms. Gums. I will recognize you in a second, please.
Madam
The
Chair, I think a
invoices-
point of order does supersede any
Thank
discussion
you.
and process.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Gums, and please.
Thank you. So I just want everybody to be clear about one thing. The county board has already approved the fee structure for the consultant. I know there has been issue with the,
Madam Chair,
This is not a point of order.
Does not strike me that that's
not a point of order.
okay, well,
Mr.
the point of
Dallas,
order, this should be
correct, yeah.
discussed with, amongst the executive board. We're waiting for you.
Okay.
So that is something for you to consider. I'll go back to my point.
I'd really move this back to committee.
Mr.
This is-
Davis, Chair, in reading this, other than the shall approve, I guess, I mean, I would lean more towards the, shall send on with a recommendation, but it's going to finance, to the finance department. Isn't the normal route to go from legislative committee to the finance committee to executive to follow the normal flow of committee structure?
This is just for paying the invoices,
Yep.
ma'am, please. This is. not
Yes,
just
Mr.
committee
Frank,
flow.
please.
Use their microphones so we can hear what they're saying. Yes, ma'am.
SAO Frank. All right. So because you're asking, I'll kind of give a little bit of context here. So you guys passed a resolution from McGuire Woods a number of months ago. As a part of that resolution, you delegated approval authority to the chair. This is simply changing the delegated authority to the legislative community or committee chairs. To my knowledge, it does not change the process other than who has the authority to approve it. So even if the committee chairs approve it, it still goes through the normal process of going to finance department, then go to the auditors, and then ultimately to the treasurer for payment. And so my office was asked to review this and help draft it. The setup that Mr. Iqbal has laid out is simply a policy choice. It is not a legal requirement one way or the other. What is written here is also a legal choice. And so it's the question for the board is whether or not the delegated authority lies with the chairman or the delegated authority on this situation lies with the legislative committee. And that is a policy choice that essentially you're getting at. And whether you want it to be this resolution, how it's outlined, or whether you want the amendment that Mr. Iqbal through Mr. Berman and seconded is now up for
Delegated
debate.
authority. What do you mean by delegated authority?
So the county board traditionally delegates authority to kind of do things, and you basically, that's something you've always been doing. In this case, for McGuire Woods, you have said, we will enter into this contract, but as a part of that, the contract says that they're supposed to submit certain documentations to support the efforts they have made.
Which is in this other packet that you
question.
received.
A question was raised to my office as to whether or not what they were doing was sufficient. What they were originally doing was not. We asked them to make those changes. We then deemed that to be sufficient. A question that's come up before was whether or not it's sufficient to the auditor's office. That is a different question. But for purposes of this, the question is, once the invoices come in, the person who right now is tasked with the authority on behalf of the board to review that is the chairman. And if that is the way the board wants that to stay, then you could either adopt Mr. Iqbal's amendment, you could deny Mr. Iqbal's amendment and deny this legislative resolution. If you want the legislative chairs to have that authority, then you would deny the amendment and adopt the resolution. So those are kind of your choices before you.
Okay, hold on, Mr. Linder and then Miss Allen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Linder here. The way this originally was laid out when we approved the contract, there was no way that those invoices even went by the legislative committee. Now, as Mr. Berman pointed out, we're a lot like ARPA, and I think there's one or two others where there is no staff person that relates to the committee. So the committee does need to review that work. We're the people that are dealing, every week with the audit, with the lobbyists, and yet there was nothing in that process that even had us look at those invoices. So that, we could be doing one thing with them and they could be billing another. I don't expect that to happen, but the process is laid out originally. We didn't see those invoices at all. Where there is a department and a department head invoices go through there and they look at it, it doesn't get submitted if they have strong questions about it, if there's some sort of an issue, if the amount has changed, any of those things, it doesn't go through that whole process because it's wrong and somebody has to deal with the vendor. And who would know that but the legislative committee? I do recognize that we seem to have some confusion as to whether or not the chair is involved. I don't believe the chair actually looks at every bill that comes in, but maybe she does. It's a stack like this. I have the list of bills that come in. There's thousands a month. I don't know that she looks at them all, but she might. That's what she does on Sunday afternoon. But I think at this point, if we need to look at, well, that's all right. From the chair, you're not supposed to be advocating for a position either. Nobody's called you on that yet. I would, at this point, because there is some disagreement about the process, I would move to send the entire thing back to the legislative committee.
Well, we have for process, and I think Ms. Bates had a question, but we have a motion and a second to approve the revised amendment, the revised resolution.
Point of order, I'm sorry.
Yes.
If he moves to remove it, if it's seconded, would it then
I will
override
second
the
that
discussion?
motion.
I have my hand up.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I'm sorry, point of order again, there's a motion on the floor.
Move the amendments and send
actually.
it back to committee.
Back to committee.
You have to dispose of the current motion either by withdrawal or a vote before you could do a motion to refer back to committee.
Madam Chair, may I be recognized?
In a second, please. We have a question on the floor.
So if Mr. Berman is withdrawing.
I will withdraw my motion to, in lieu of the motion to send it back to committee.
Okay, so that is now,
And who seconded that?
Linder.
well, hold on,
No,
there's two
Deputy-
things.
Deputy.
Hold on.
So he's withdrawing his original motion. So the amendment is now set aside.
Happy needs to withdraw.
Tepe.
Oh,
Mr.
sorry. Well,
Mr. Tepe, do you approve this?
okay.
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so now we're back to
The original
square,
motion.
and now is there a motion? I believe Mr. Berman is now motioning to send it back to committee. Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
Mr. Linder motioned and Mr.
Linder made
Berman
the motion.
seconded.
However you want to do it.
Linder motioned,
Either way.
Berman second. All right, is there any discussion on this?
Yes, Gums.
Oh, Ms.
Go
Gums
ahead,
and then
Ms.
Ms. Bates.
Gums.
Ms. Gums?
Thank you. I could not be more opposed to sending this back to committee. This is ridiculous. We have, and you guys had this in your packet for some time now, what's put forth, and maybe the state's attorney can also comment on this. The resolution from Mr. Iqbal does not just clean stuff up. It adds things in here that constrains the legislative committee. And frankly, it should not have been brought up at this committee. It should have been brought to our committee. And I'm highly offended by all of this.
Space.
Ms. Gums always says it better than I do. But I would like to say that as a member of the legislative committee, I'm also offended and mad that our work has been obliterated now by something from someone who's not on our committee, did not bring it to our committee, and we're set back another month in getting this contract finalized and all the procedures finished. And I'm afraid this is coming back to a little war that's going on in the background here, and I don't like it. Thank you.
I'm gonna go one more time. Just a couple of thoughts. Davis speaking. In reading item 2 up there on our screen, that approach for me does seem to bypass too much of it makes no reference to the committee, to finance committee, to executive full board. It talks about legislative approving it and going straight to, for payment processing, finance department, not committee, and then the auditor. So I think
because it's already been approved.
And that's
just so you're aware, the current process is exactly what you're saying you're not comfortable with, because the only difference is that the chairwoman is the one who approves it and then it goes through that process. The only thing that this changes is who has that authority. So just so you're aware.
All right, thank you. And then in Mr. Iqbal's version, number 6, like I said, I already questioned Mr. Iqbal's involvement, trying to understand how that happened. And I can understand how the legislative committee might have their hackles up a little because of this. But he does seem to include the legislative committee in all aspects of this. When he gets to number 6, he is giving it to the committee first, just having it go to the chairman as opposed to leaving her out of the process. But you would send it to her with the recommendation. I don't know. It does not seem ripe for a vote today. So I'm afraid that going back to committee and getting this right, I know that's not co-chair Gums' desire, but.
Yeah, Miss Allen.
Good. I'm speaking for the first time today, and it is with full respect to the committee and the committee's work, because this is a committee that has had to create something out of thin air. And that's the hardest thing I think to do ever. One of the problems that I saw in looking over this material is that I think that our vendor made things a little worse. And I hope that our vendor will fix it. Normally, if the first month of service was September of 2023, and is it September 1st through September 30th, that would be reflected on the bill. And the invoice, and the invoice would probably be sent in the first week or 2 weeks of October, saying, here is my bill for services rendered during the month of September. And here is my attachment of things that I did. Now, we have had problems with lobbyists in the past that when you ask them what they do for you, they send you a list of all the bills that have gone through the Illinois Senate and House, which is not helpful at all. What is helpful is if they said on a certain day that they discussed with members of the legislature a bill that would allow the county to collect funds for hanging cell phone receptors on our light poles. Now, we lost the opportunity to get that money because the cell phone people got in before us. And so now they can hang their stuff wherever they want without paying anything. That is something that a lobbyist could say he was working on, and we would appreciate that as something trying to raise money for the county. Doesn't say who he talked to, just says this was the issue. Now, when an attorney does a bill, you're generally speaking for 15-minute segments, a phone call or something, so that your client knows why you're charging them for that period of time. This is, I think, different because to a certain extent, it's a retainer agreement like we have with our attorneys with the Forest Preserve. We know that the attorneys, or in this case, the vendor, is going to show up at some meetings and talk to us about what they're doing. But some of it is going to be trust. The fact that the vendor is called by members of the legislative committee or by the sheriff or by the coroner or anybody who's interested in having that expertise, they're probably not going to say anything other than, on this date, I took a call from the sheriff's office. And so we trust that that relationship is one that's satisfactory to the sheriff and to the coroner and to the legislative committee, who is having the most continuous conversation. We also added in an extra thing for this particular vendor. We asked this vendor to help us as a county come up with a legislative platform and a procedure, because we don't have any in-house staff to do that. So we have, if I'm correct, we hired our consultant to help us as a staff person to help us build our own legislative agenda and platform and so on. So the vendor needs to give us a bill that we can understand. And if that bill gives us information about what he's doing, that would be even better. And if our legislative committee will talk to us every now and then about building a legislative program, which we don't have and has to be created out of thin air, that's, I think, the tricky bit here. I'm just tossing that out. I'm not on the committee. I read over the invoices, and those are the questions that are spinning around in my head. So thanks for the time.
So we have a motion and a second on this. Ms. Strathman?
Yes, I would actually like to make another motion, and that is to, see if I can do this right. I would like to change the wording of the one that we are being asked on that came in our packet, and that we should, under number 2, where in the second sentence, it says, if the legislative committee chair deems the invoices acceptable, they shall. I would like to strike approve of the voices, and I'd like to take those words out, and just so that it would read, if the legislative committee chairs deem the invoices acceptable, they shall forward the invoices for payment processing to the finance department and the county auditor, and a copy will be provided to the King County chair.
Point of order. I think, great point. I think that hits a lot of what we're talking about, but I think we've got a motion to send it back and we can't modify it.
SAO Frank, right now, the discussion is over the motion to send back. If that is approved, then it will go back. If it's denied, then we can move back to general discussion, at which point you can then make your motion.
Yes, Mr. Surges.
Surges, I mean, our finance person is here. You have anything to chime in on this at all, or I don't know who to address
Kathy,
that
that's a
to.
good job. I
Yeah,
did see you back there.
Just, maybe I'll start with a little background. So just generally, once a contract is approved by the county board, whatever office is managing that contract, they approve the invoices and then send them for processing. We don't send invoices typically back through like finance committee or anything. They're just processed. That department will enter them in, and the county auditor's office reviews them. So for this particular contract, the county board office has been the office that reviews the invoices. Since they don't have the staff to enter it in for approval, they have historically sent these invoices down to the finance department where we key it in, enter it, and it goes for approval. So that's just the process, just generally across the county. I think this resolution, the one that was in your packet, essentially all it's changing is who is approving the invoice. Is it the board office or is it the legislative committee? That's really all that resolution that's in your packet is changing. I did talk to Michelle Gums initially when this resolution was prepared for the legislative committee. And she did, just from a financial processing standpoint, she did make some changes. And the county auditor's office did also make some suggested changes just to ensure that the standard processing that we go through at the county is reflected in this resolution. So the resolution that's in your packet, all that it's really changing is who is the person that is approving the invoices.
Okay.
Yes.
Davis
Yes, Mr.
again.
Davis.
Sorry, it's taken me a little while to, digest all of this. But I think it's becoming a little clearer to me now, I think. And we have a contract, we collectively approved it, we voted on it, including the process, it would go through the chairman's office. There's a set amount for the billing. All of that's been agreed. It seems to me that the complaint, the conflict here was that we weren't getting billed in a way that was clear. It didn't have enough detail. Our state's attorney's office became involved and talked to them and asked them to correct that. In the meantime, the legislative committee and co-chairs were unhappy with the delays of the bills being paid. And the response seems to be, if you're not going to get these bills paid, then we're going to change the order of things and we'll take a look at it. But the real problem was how the bills were coming.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the state's attorney's office has addressed the consultant regarding that. And have they answered, was their response that they will do a better job, that they will comply? Will they do it the way that we're asking?
Yes, SAO Frank, my understanding was that after they submitted their original bill, I talked with them, specifically one of the actual lobbyists, and he got the bill at least to my acceptable standard. There has been a secondary question that's been brought up as to whether it complies with the auditor's office, but I've not been asked that question.
All
But
right,
as far as
hold on
the
to that one
question
for a
of the,
second.
yeah, just to answer the question, as far as the contract requirements, it is sufficient.
No.
All right, and then
No,
let me
that's-
ask you, Madam Chair, if that's true, if they're going to comply and do it the way that we're asking, is there any other reason that you would have that they would not be paid, that you wouldn't
Oh,
send it off to the order?
Absolutely. This is a technical issue which can be resolved. Absolutely.
So
There-
again,
there's one-
it
there-
seems like the problem that we have here isn't the method. It's the form of the bill that we're receiving. So if we get this vendor to behave themselves in terms of giving us a bill that we, that we can read and see all the detail and understand, then what we have in place should work just fine.
There has been some context that has been brought forward to me by members of the board
Madam Chair
regarding the
Gums.
substance of the bill. Ms. Gums, yes, hold on. We've got a number
Well,
of.
my
hands here.
hand's been up and you've told me to hold on 4 times, so I would ask to be recognized.
Ms. Gums.
Thank you very much. Miss Allen, to your point, I wrote down why we should not send this back to committee is what we're talking about here. So what was addressed as far as issues with the invoices that were being presented was handled by the state's attorney's office with our partners at McGuire Woods, and that issue has been resolved. So to Mr. Davis's point as well, I am perfectly fine with it not reading approved because the county board has already approved this. There's no reason to send this back to have that conversation. We just need to forward it for processing. As our finance director stated, here's why the legislative committee should be reviewing for compliance, because we are dealing with them at that committee level. That's why it needs to come to legislative. Because, and Madam Chair can have a copy. That's not the issue. We actually are agreeing, but we're having an argument about what we're agreeing on. The legislative committee needs this information so that we are making sure what they're doing. We hadn't had that before. So this is what we're asking to change. If this goes back another month, all we're going to change, I mean, I don't know what we're going to change. What are you going to talk about? All we're asking to change is that the legislative committee gets the invoices so that we can review them for compliance and forward them for payment. We're not approving anything. We've already done that at the county board level.
And your resolution says committee chairs. Yes, Mr.
Yes.
Yes.
I-
hold on a sec. Yes,
Mrs.
please.
Caius, thank you.
Mr. Caius.
I think Mr. Davis is pretty much right on. I hate to agree with him that much, but would it be appropriate to, if we do not send this back to committee, change it, the wording to say not approve, but as you suggest, Ms. Gums, review, so that you also have a review of it, because that seems to be the crux. You want to get a review of it. It all needs to go through the proper channels to be approved, or all the way down to the auditor. But would it be appropriate if we don't send this back to just change approved to review?
I am happy with changing the language as Ms. Strassman suggested we've already approved it. So that's a kind of a moot point. It's
Right.
already been approved.
So-
So if we want to change that to forward, I am perfectly lovely, happy, wonderful. That'll be wonderful. Yes.
Mr. Berman.
Berman here. I think Miss Allen had the right information, and her first comment was that in the contract with the vendor, that is a problem. You know, their item compensation asks for a lot of detail that we normally don't. This is a retainer type contract. We're interested in what this person does for us, not every day, but at the end of a period of time. We're saying we're looking for their involvement, and we don't need to know on a monthly basis or a daily basis how many meetings they had with whom, because that doesn't make a difference. It's the end of the year, end of the period of time, we evaluate what they've done for us, and we say then it's good or it's bad, not. So I think that we go through this compensation where they have to itemize every day. In this case, they sent us an invoice, and the invoice was during the month that we received the invoice during the month. And within that invoice, they said they had meetings later on in the month. Well, this may have been their plan, but it wasn't something that already happened when they invoiced us. But this would be normal for a retainer kind of contract, and not have to spell out each detail on a daily basis. That's my comment.
We have our auditor who would like to say a comment, please.
Good morning again. So there's a couple of things that you guys are discussing as me and Kathy are over here kind of waving you down. When it comes to the invoices from the auditor's perspective, what we're looking for is the consistency from one lobbyist to the other lobbyist and the amount of information that we're receiving. So based upon the invoices that were originally submitted, I appreciate that Corinne did not submit those because we would not have approved them on my part. So we do require more information than maybe what the state's attorney would be looking for, but we're looking for consistency across all the invoices. And when it comes to the person that's approving, something to keep in mind that I haven't been able to discuss really is that we're looking for the approver. So when someone approves an invoice and it comes to my office after finance, if something's not proper on there, we have to send it back to someone. And at this current condition, that would be Corinne. So if it's not going to be Corinne and it's going to be somebody from the legislative committee, it's going to take much longer to approve that invoice. So just some very important things that have not been discussed.
May I ask
Yes.
Ms. Wegman a question?
Ms. Bates.
So why would it take longer if if the current practice is to go to the chairwoman, if instead it went back to Mr. Lindner or Mr. Gums? That doesn't seem like it's adding a step. It's just a different.
There's
step.
time associated with that.
But
So,
isn't there time associated with going to the?
oh yeah, I can walk upstairs to the third floor and be knocking on the door and Corinne's going to have to fix whatever needs to be done. If I have to track down somebody from legislative, because traditionally, yes, I have to track people down to get things fixed. And we have a 4-day window from something, a deadline of being submitted to us to it being sent to the treasurer's office. So we don't have a time frame that we get to play with. When we realize there's something broken in an invoice, we literally aren't going and knocking on people's doors to get them to fix it and get it back so it'll get paid.
But we have two co-chairs. They'd probably respond within 4 days. Right.
I live 7 minutes
Let's
away.
not do hypotheticals. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
That-
Jump in here.
I'm gonna need a break for a bathroom in a minute.
Email it in.
It's 68 in here, but it is chilly. Yes. Yes. Mr. Caius.
Question for the auditor. So you don't review or check with the contract that we have with the company? You use the other lobbyist, their invoice to?
It really just depends on the type of transaction that we're approving. Sometimes, yes, we certainly do look at contract to a point, but what is being submitted to us, we have consistency already through the different lobbyists. Lobbyists are a little bit different of a beast because there's a lot of, there can be a lot of redactions. And so if one lobbyist submits a certain part of information, then that would be kind of the expectation of other lobbyists or attorneys or.
Then I would follow, can I just follow?
Yeah,
up?
the third lobbyist, then where's the expectation with the second one? with
I'm
the
sorry,
first
Mr. Linder.
Mr. Linder, you don't have. the
Ms.
floor
Go
yet.
through the chair.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Point of order, no, I hope I didn't lose my so you review the contract and we have a contract that says that there are itemized, they must itemize their submissions. So then the other question that so we have to go by that contract that we have, but there is, as Mr. Berman pointed out officially, was that it's kind of screwy to do it that way, but it's in the contract. So we're not in the position today of being able to modify that contract. It's already done, right? So it's a good point that he brought up, but next time we do that, we want to get away from that.
But as the auditor, I also have the ability to request additional information to determine business purpose and whatever.
And that would be in the itemized bill.
Correct.
Or if it wasn't, then you would ask.
Be sending it
So-
back and
so-
requesting additional information.
So.
That's correct. That is
Um,
correct.
Points, sorry.
Madam Chair.
Yes, and I think, are we about ready to take the
Well-
vote to send it back to committee?
I have one more question of Ms. Wegman. So if something were wrong and you had to go to the chairwoman for clarification, I believe the chairwoman would have to go to the legislative committee, Mr. Linder or Ms. Gums, anyway, to find out what was going on with the invoice.
Not necessarily. These things can be some small enough that maybe the invoice number is off or the dollar amount is just not entered into the system properly. A page could be missing. So these are not necessarily big world problems where there's a major deficiency. It can just be a small typo and we still have to get it resolved quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So,
Yes.
can I just one more time here? If we decide not to send this back, then are we agreeing that we'll modify it to say inform the committee of, or whatever was whatever I said before was that goes through the committee, they get to review it,
I don't think
reviewed
we-
by the committee.
Yeah, I don't know if we had a chance to formally put that one out there yet, but that would be like the next
That
step,
would
I
be the
think.
next
Yeah.
step. But I want to, before I send it, if we can't do that, then I say we
Right,
send
yeah.
it back. But if we
Yeah.
can do that here, then I say we keep it here, then modify it. Gums is happy.
I think we got the nod from Mr. Frank that we can do that as soon as we dispose of this part first.
So,
If we keep it, we can fix it. If we can't.
Yes.
I think we can fix it, then we can set it back.
Mr. Frank, please weigh in.
Right now, before you is the question of sending it back. Once that is disposed of, if it's disposed of in the positive, then it's just going to go back. If it's disposed of in the negative, now we're back to general discussion and any motions can be heard and seconded and discussed, and whether it's an amendment, whether it's whatever.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to move this back
Hey,
to the
One more question, I'm sorry.
legislative
Oh my
committee.
God.
Yes.
Come on, we're in the weeds.
Mr.
but
Davis?
Gotta get out.
Davosby, number one in this, be provided with invoices. Is the legislative committee not currently being provided with copies of these invoices?
That's not part of the policy.
Correct.
So that would be reviewed.
I mean.
So we
that-
hear
that
from,
seems
we
like
hear
a
from the
fairly
vendor
simple
that they haven't
change
been
just to
paid.
include them in getting the information. But the gist of this whole thing seems to be the goal, I think, for Ms. Gums, I don't talk for her, but the goal here is timely payment. She just wants this bill to be paid in a timely fashion.
Agreed.
And the complaint from Madam Chair is, I don't want to do that unless they're going to give us a bill that includes the information they're supposed to. So, I like number one. I could see sharing the information. The legislative committee certainly should be able to see these things because it is in their, purview, bailiwick, whatever. But number two, removing the most expedient way to correct something if the auditor needed an answer does not seem like a move in the same direction of making this streamlined and a process that works smoothly. So none of these choices that we have before us actually achieve what I think the goal is. Share the information, leave the rest of it the way it is, make sure that they're giving us a bill in a format that we like. How do we get there? Go ahead, John.
The way the contract is currently structured, they have to provide us basic information, which is basically what they did. I would caution you to liken this to like an attorney's bill. An attorney's bill is a confidential bill that's provided to you. They can give you a full explanation of everything. They don't have to redact anything to you because you're going to keep it confidential. This is a little bit different. So I review all the outside counsel bills. We properly redact them and provide them over, but we keep them otherwise. So that way that information is not getting out because it's obviously attorney-client privileged information. This is a different situation. There is no attorney-client privilege with a lobbyist. So what they're providing us is the basic information that they can. And so what I have said in the past when this question was brought up to me was, I don't think we have any authority to ask them for sources and methods. That is confidential and proprietary information for them. So what they provided to me when I talked with them saying like, look, we're not pressing you for that kind of stuff. We're just asking you to give us the dailies. They have now done that. Again, I agree with Ms. Wegman. She has every right to request more information if she believes she needs it. But as far as what they are legally required as a right, not legally, but contractually required to give us is what they are giving us as it stands right now. I know of no reason on why they need to give more at this time unless something has come up in the past that I've not been given that information to. But as it stands of about a month and a half ago, the bills that were coming in my conversation with Ms. Talish was they were in compliance with what is now need to be done. And so the bills need to be paid out accordingly unless the auditor has an issue.
There is another issue though on the contract that has not yet been addressed.
Please.
And you have this on the packet that was given to you, what is requested, and I'm just going by the contract, is that it also include a summary of all previous invoices. And that has been underlined, and that is not included in the invoice. I don't know why it's there, but that is there as well. So that's another technical issue that just simply has to be included, that in September, we bill them $10,000, October, $10,000. And when we get the November bill, it'll be for 3 months, paid. Here's your November bill. So it just has to be included. That's the way it was written. I'm just following the terms of the contract. That's all.
Would you not pay it then if they didn't put that in there?
Well, no, it's all, they have all been paid, but as reviewing this, just reviewing the terms of the contract, that's all.
So we're asking them for
Let's talk
some,
to them about it.
we're asking them for some redundancy in the bill
Correct.
Redundancy? I don't believe.
exponentially as you go further into the year.
No, and again, that's just a technical input to put that
Yeah.
in. That's all.
Okay.
It's their contract. They approved it as well.
With all due respect, Madam Chair, that's not a question that's been ever asked of me. It may be a technical default that can be easily cured.
Absolutely.
But again, there's nothing that they're substantively not providing us that isn't contractually required, and we can ask for that if we want. I don't think we've ever formally requested that of them. But we can if that's the way the legislative or Madam Chair would like. That's perfectly fine. If it's in the contract, we can do that. But as it stands right now, as what's been asked of me, they're in compliance with the contract.
So. All right. How do you stand, ladies and gentlemen? Do you want to move it back? Do you want to make a change on the floor? What is your choice?
I do
I
not.
do not want to move it back, but I
Moving it
would,
back seems to be the biggest delay we could give this whole thing.
Mhm.
So I'm not a fan of that.
I believe the
Solve
members
it now.
sitting here of the legislative committee do not want to send it back, and I would like to vote on the
Call the question.
packet as,
Hold, all right,
Well,
just
so
let's
let's
take. a look.
vote on
So-
sending it back.
So
Let's
we,
have the vote.
do you want to have a vote to send it back or not?
yes, we have to. don't we?
Or remove it?
No,
All right,
no,
I-
you have a
I can
motion and a
rescind my
second.
motion.
You've now had discussion. You need
Vote.
to, or somebody needs to rescind or,
Oh.
sorry, withdraw their motion.
I'll
So-
withdraw the motion.
Thank you.
I won't withdraw this.
Who seconded?
I'm confused.
Okay, Mr. Berman, you're willing to withdraw as well?
No.
Okay, so we have to call the vote.
Clarity, we're voting on,
Exactly. What do we?
To hold it over or to send it back to committee.
That's
Send it-
correct.
Send it back to committee. All right. let me-
I'm sorry, can you do that once more?
The voting just,
You are about ready to take a vote if if you desire to send this back to committee for the committee's review.
Can I ask one more question?
No.
No.
Yes, you may allow, ask one more question.
Sure. Okay. All right. I just send it back.
I to send it back. Can I borrow a pen?
What's that? I'm sorry.
All right, you ready? We have to take roll. We got one.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Alan, what was your vote?
This is a vote to send it back to committee.
Yes.
Aye.
Bates,
no.
Berman,
Yes.
Davis,
No.
Ford,
No.
Gums,
no,
Caius,
Guys, no.
Kenyon,
No.
Lewis. I'm sorry, Linder,
No.
Molina,
Molina, no.
Sanchez,
He left.
he left. Strathman,
Strathman, no.
Surges,
No.
Tepe.
No.
Okay, it fails.
Wow, all that.
It's a lot of discussion.
All right, good discussion though. All right, so now,
How about this? Davis moves that we amend this one to include number 1 and strike number 2. There you go.
What?
what?
Repeat.
All I want to do is share the information. Number 1 says they'll be provided a legislative committee. Strike number 2 and let it stand the way it is, which is the method that we've already approved and is in the contract. The problem was with the way the bills showed up, nothing else. The legislative committee wasn't getting copies. You guys should.
That's your motion?
But my motion is to
Amendment?
amend this to leave number 1 in place and strike number 2.
I
Does that
like
achieve
Ms.
what I'm talking about, Mr.
Strathman's
Frank?
amendment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. So Ms.
hold on.
Strathman's amendment was never properly brought. So the first amendment that's now been brought is actually Mr.
Did.
Davis's.
Correct.
So right now, is there a second for Mr. Davis's motion to amend?
Who moved the original?
There wasn't an original.
I'll
He's got,
second it so we can. Can we move? to
Okay,
amend?
so now we're into discussion of Mr. Davis's amendment.
All right, so.
What happened to the discussion of mine?
Oh,
Yours was brought during a discussion, but it wasn't properly moved. So now his goes first and yours can go second.
Sorry, Cheryl, I didn't mean that.
All right,
Good, now
Apologies.
all right.
I should have jumped in.
Do we have a discussion to eliminate item 2.2 and just to move point 1?
On which packet? On the one in the packet?
Just the original packet, yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Who,
So
point of order, who moved the first, or point of information, please? Who moved the first motion?
Mr. Davis just.
No, he did an
The
amendment.
original, the very first time.
The very first
I don't
one.
remember.
Well, I don't either. I don't think it's been moved.
The,
If we didn't say
no,
that.
the original motion was the original amendment for Mo's changes was withdrawn.
But that was withdrawn.
We went after you guys voted down the motion to send it back to committee, we moved back to a general discussion of the actual resolution.
Which was moved on by,
Was that ever moved?
That came up under the agenda, and I believe whoever moved it, I think it was legislative that moved it, and then there was a second somewhere, but it's properly under discussion.
Bates
And
and
then
Linder
now-
approved this resolution up for discussion.
And now we have a motion to amend that's been seconded, so that's up for discussion.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend, removing item number 2. Yes, Miss Allen.
This is Alan, and this is just a logistical thing. If we get a bill for September in the beginning of October, it would get to the legislative committee in probably the third week of October. And they would be reviewing the bill for September. They would approve or reject, based not just on hourly, but on the fact that they felt that they had enough communication with the vendor and enough work was accomplished that of course they would approve that month's bill. So it would conceivably go to finance in the fourth week, executive the first week of November, and then we would be paying the September bill.
None of this would happen.
Okay.
None of it.
None of
None of
that
this-
would happen.
those-
None of
None of
that.
that would happen.
This is a separate contract.
Mr. Linder,
Happen.
Very decidedly,
I'm
I'm
just.
sorry.
I made the same mistake earlier,
I'm
so.
fixated on our
Mr.
committee
Davis,
structure.
sound- okay.
very decidedly, this did not talk about sending the bill to the committee, but rather to the
Does that help?
chairs. Because there is that delay to get it to a meeting. And I'm going to support Ms. Strathman's amendment that talks review rather than approve. Is that basically what your amendment is, Ms. Strathman?
Yes.
And I'm
And
going to
forward.
support that. I don't support this one. But we need to get going on this. We've been on a very small point, 2 hours.
So are we, yes, Miss Allen? I mean, Ms.
Bates,
I'm sorry.
I'm the other one. In terms of, I have 2 questions.
You don't even wear a hat.
When it comes, I've got one in my pocket. I'm about to put it on.
Keep the head warm.
When it comes to Mr. Davis's amendment, leaving out number 2, then what happens? But I'm not done yet. I'm not yielding the floor. I believe much of this discussion has to do with the duties and responsibilities of our chairwoman. And I haven't read the county code. It's been a week or 2 since I've read the county code, more than that. But I believe what we're discussing here is the chairwoman, is it her duty and responsibility to review these invoices? And she's plenty busy without adding to her responsibilities. And if you read the county code, there's nothing in there that I recall, and I'm sure SAO Frank will correct me, and Shepro, we got plenty of lawyers here. There's nothing in the county code that says it's Madam Chair's responsibility to review and approve these invoices. So why, we don't have to burden her with one more thing. The legislative committee has the autonomy to go ahead and approve these or review these and pass them along. The board has already approved the entire contract. Now we're just into the writing the checks. I think we should just pass it as it's in the packet and stop nitpicking with these details of how to make this happen. It's already happened. The board has approved this. We just have to sign on the dotted line. And I don't think we should burden the chairwoman with this every time. The legislative committee has the autonomy to do it and keep it that way.
You already did. Yes, Ms.
Strathman here. I would like to say that I agree with what Miss Mavis Bates just said. But I do think that we need language that says the chairwoman should get a copy of it. So that she can see it as well. You know, and I understand, I've been corrected that my amendment was that to remove the word approve, and I am understanding that that needs to be in there. But I think we can correct this language to include, Madam Chair, in this line chain. And that's what I think is missing.
So, but we have a motion, if I may, we have a motion and a second to delete item number 2. That's what you're discussing right now. So what now you would like to
Madam Chair,
include
Guns.
item 2 from what I'm
I
hearing.
think I need to rebut a little bit of what Ms. Bates brought up.
Okay, all right, fine. And then Ms. Gums, I see you.
The burden that was referred to is already in place. The full board voted on this contract and approved what we have. And what we have does send it to the chairman. That burden was already put in place. Although the references to, what happens here and county code is replete with the phrase advice and consent of the board. In this case, the board weighed in on this and we said, here it is. We've approved the contract, the amount, who's going to do it, the whole thing, and it's going to come to you. What has since transpired is a billing issue that resulted in some delays of payment being made, which I think raised the ire of the legislative committee, who felt like, well, you don't like our choice, so you're not paying them. Well, that's not really, I don't think, at the crux of it. That may have been the perception. But what I'm hearing is the only reason I didn't send this to the auditor or to finance and the auditor for payment is I don't think they're providing the information in the bill that they're supposed to by contract. So if we correct that, this should go very smoothly. I do, after hearing all of this, think that it is appropriate for the legislative committee to get copies of it so that they are aware and can see it also. That way, if some question arises, they will be informed and can weigh in. But otherwise, the most expedient way to get them paid promptly, which I think was the goal of all this, is to let the mechanism we have in place stand and make sure that the billing is done the way it's specified in the contract. And SEO Frank has been in conversation with them and, persisted on that said, hey, you need to do this. So include 1, let legislative committee see all the information, strike 2, and let it follow the path that it's on now. The auditor even stepped up and said, if there's any kind of a problem, that's the easiest way for me to try to fix it quickly. I still think the goal of this entire process was getting them paid promptly. To me, that is the way that it will happen the most efficiently. So I'm going to stand with take this one with 1, strike 2, and.
All right, Ms. Gums, you have a comment, and then I think we should take a
Thank you.
vote on this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Gums.
Madam Chair, Mr. Davis, respectfully, I would ask for you to rescind your motion and consider Ms. Strathman's language change. We can talk about this in circles till the cows come home. Clearly, there's 1 or 2 in the front yard already. This is this is an issue. Mr. Davis, your assumption is incorrect, that there's a payment promptness issue. This resolution before you is so that the legislative committee has access to these things. If we change the language or amend the language in number 2, as Ms. Strathman suggested, that solves all of the problems.
Doesn't number 1 give you what you just asked for?
No.
You want to be included? It's right there in number 1. Shall
So
be provided. I'm sorry.
yes, but we have to make sure that they are in compliance with the contract. The people on legislative do that. The team in legislative does that.
Is that what the contract says?
Yes.
Kenya, let me make this easy. I withdraw the second. Well, if you won't, then we'll.
I don't know what he seconded.
We're
so
still in the
I'm
weeds.
More lost than I was, so.
Merry
We are in
Christmas
the
and
weeds.
Happy New Year. Okay.
All right, so we have. All right, so we have an amendment to the resolution where item number 2 is withdrawn. Are we ready to take a vote on that?
Mr. Kenyon.
That
was
second
Mr.
was withdrawn.
Yeah,
The
so
second's
this is Ford. I'd like to make a motion on
Wait,
Ms.
hold-
Strathman's
Hold-
recommendation.
We can't do that yet. Hold on just a
We
second.
have to get rid of what's on. the
Okay,
floor.
Mr. Davos,
Gotta get the dirty laundry taken
Mr.
care of.
Davos, are you going to withdraw your motion? Nope.
I think that's the right answer.
All right, well, then we have to take a vote on it.
The second was
The second was
withdrawn.
withdrawn. The
Motion
second was
without a
withdrawn.
My motion is not lacking a second, so
Okay,
it may die on its own, but it won't be
You
because of
second?
me.
is,
No, I was.
If it's lacking a second, then it fails.
all right, then it fails. Okay. All right,
We'll just make it easy.
one more time. Thank you. All right, now, where do we begin? Do we have a motion, another motion?
This is Ford. I just put a motion on the table.
Oh, I'm
uh,
sorry,
I-
Mr. Ford, yes.
I
please.
would like to jump in here.
Hold on, Mr. Ford put a motion on the table. Could you please repeat that, please, motion?
I think Ms. Strathman really did try to.
All right, hold on.
The
For overall-
motion,
just
the-
time out.
We're at point
Let's,
of order
let's,
here.
yeah, point of order. Even though I can't make a point of order, let's just move on Ms. Strathman's. She had already attempted to do this. Please make your motion and then we can go to Mr. Ford's motion if you'd like.
No,
Okay,
my
thank you.
motion actually is Ms. Strathman's motion, statement.
Good.
Well,
Thank
now you
Mr.
tell us.
Ford.
Would you, Mr. Ford, would you like to be the second to her motion?
I would love to be the second to her motion.
Thank you.
That's my
Well
guy.
done, well done.
Okay. Again, I would like to make a motion that on item 2, in the second paragraph of that, and I will change the wording a little bit because I now understand we do need the word approve in this. But I would like the second statement, second sentence to read, if the legislative committee chairs deem the invoices acceptable, they shall approve and forward the invoices for payment processing to the finance department and the county auditor and to the county chair. Does that make sense?
No.
No, a copy. You said last time you said.
And a copy to the yes, I did. Sorry, and a copy will be provided to the county chair. What I think is the problem is not the timeliness of the bill paying. I think it's transparency. And I think all parties need to see, because we all have access to the lobbyists, so that if I have something that I want them to work on, or I'm following an issue, that their invoice would show that I could check with their invoice and see that they're doing that. But I think we all should be able to do that. And I think we all, the Madam Chair and the Legislative Committee all need a copy of the, need access to the invoice so they can see what is happening. But I don't think it's the timeliness of the payment that is questioned here. I think it is the parties involved who need to see what they need to see.
Transparency is a good word.
There is, if, just a clarification.
This is very clear.
That's it, Frank. Mr. Ford, now that the actual motion is different from the original motion, do you second the motion as described by Mrs. Strathman?
Yes, I do. This is Ford.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. What is the timeline for payment? There is a legal timeline for payment from the state of Illinois. Is it 3 weeks from date of submission?
Whenever you got the money. Yeah. It's up to us.
I don't.
If you're
is that
talking about the Local Government Prompt Payment Act,
correct? Yes, sir.
no, I believe it is 60 days.
Okay, we'll check on that as it's, the conversation is going through. So we have a timeline for that. Yes, sir, Mr. Caius.
Caius, I thought the idea was to remove the approve out of it.
But,
It's already been
Ms.
approved.
Whitman said we
I'm
had-
sorry.
Yes, please.
I thought the question was, and the problem was that they shall approve of the invoices as opposed to review. That what we want them to do is review it, but they don't approve it.
I'm sorry, who is they, Chris?
The committee.
The committee.
This says
the
that
committee.
if the legislative committee chairs deems the invoices acceptable, they shall approve of the invoices and forward the invoices payment processing to the finance department.
Correct.
And what do you want it to say?
Just that they're able to review them. It wasn't necessary that they approve them. The point was, do they approve are they taking the approval process away from the chairman? That already exists because it's going through executive.
Gums, I'm fine with the word approval being removed and changing that to forwarded. I mean, this has already been approved.
I thought so
So-
too.
Is
Yes,
Penny here?
yes,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, we've, all hands are on deck right now. Yeah,
Please let me.
yes,
SAO Frank, approval means you approve to enter into the contract with them. The contract's now been entered into. This approval is not the contract. This approval is the invoice.
the invoice.
So the issue is someone has to approve the invoice. So I'm the one who explained to Mr. Athman that somebody technically needs to approve the invoice. So I would not encourage you to take the word approval out. The actual amendment, as she said, though, left approval in, and the only thing it added was a copy to be provided to the chairwoman. So that is currently what's up for debate.
Was what again?
The language as it stands under number 2 with the addition of providing a copy to the chairwoman.
So the
Point of clarification,
invoice goes to the chairs. Yes,
and that's exactly my point. Do you mean for it to go just to the chairs, not to the committee? And does the approval have to be by both of them or either one of them? You gotta spell this stuff out.
My thought was should go to the committee chairs, the co-chairs
Mhm.
for approval, and then the county chairwoman should also get a copy. I think the transparency is the issue. That's how I see it. So I think everybody should have access to it to see it. So the
I
committee
think
chairs.
the question is what happens if the committee co-chairs do not agree?
Or you can't find one of them. Is one
Yeah.
good enough?
Yeah.
You gotta
That's
know-
why there's an S in parentheses.
that's why there's a one. And she said that's why.
Parentheses
there's
on
a-
the S. It doesn't say that though. I mean,
Doesn't.
those are the kind of details that you need to know, right? I mean, is it one of them, both of them? What if they
It
disagree?
says-
What if you
I-
can't find one?
I would interpret the way it's written right now as legislative committee chair or with a positive S to mean either or. But if you want to spell it out more explicitly, I would recommend an amendment that says the legislative committee chair and or chairs, whichever you would like.
Okay. We're gonna,
The committee.
we're gonna,
I
we're
think
gonna
it's
deviate from our
understandable.
contract and take it away from the chairman and give it to the chairman of one standing committee for approval. Just so we know.
That's what you're doing. That is
Yes.
I
what,
need one of them, is what I just heard.
and that is a change in practice that has been done. Change in practice, historical practice. Mr. Linder, do you have your hand up?
Well, something we're going to need to resolve in the future, not today. I'm not making any amendments, but the problem results from the fact that there is no staff person between the committee and the board. So the committee chairs need to act as that staff person because we have the detail, we have the time to make the phone calls to straighten out the detail. And at some point in time, if we get assigned to one of the current departments, or if we have a department and a legislative director, that will be that person's responsibility, but we don't have that now. So we're just inserting a committee in here to do the job of what a staff person would do if we had a staff person that related to this committee.
Gums will call the question.
What is the, wait, a minute, but we don't have. We-
The question is
Yeah.
per
Ms.
Draft
Strathman's
amendment
motion.
is on
to
the
the
board, right?
existing.
All right, can you read the amendment, your suggested amendment, so that we're all have clear language on exactly what it is that you're suggesting?
I will try.
Thank you, Ms. Strathman.
In number 2, the second sentence, it starts, if the legislative committee chair, parentheses, chairs, deems the invoices acceptable, they shall approve of the invoices and forward the invoices for payment processing to the finance department and county auditor, and a copy will be provided to the Kane County Chair.
Okay. Thank you.
Writing it down.
I still stand on my second. This is Ford.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. All right, the question has been called. Clerk, could you please call the roll? Before, does everybody understand what you're voting on now?
Mhm.
No? No, I'm serious. Do you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's going to read, the committee chairs shall approve the invoices and forward those invoices for payment to finance department, county auditor, and provide a copy to the chair.
Correct.
Okay. Yes, we have question has been called. No more, no more, no more, no more. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
No. Alan, no.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Davis,
Davis, no.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Linda, yes.
Molina.
She left.
Oh, she's gone, I'm sorry. Sanchez,
We have quorum.
Strathman,
Yes.
Sturgis,
Yes.
Tepe,
No.
passes.
Okay, so it passes. All right.
Taking
All right.
2-minute break.
Legislative, I think that's the only thing. So that resolution has passed as
No.
amended.
No, it's not.
No, you've
The
passed the
amendment
amendment, so
has
you,
been-
now we have to vote on the
As it
amended
passed, now we're
resolution.
back. You're
Oh, as
absolutely.
amended.
You are now back to the general discussion of the resolution.
As amended.
Hold on. So the question was also raised as to the legislative committee chair posture for yes. Upon further review, I would actually suggest that you do make an amendment so it's clear, because the way it reads right now, it would depend on whether or not there is one or two, and it would require both if two or one if one. So you need to do and or some situation like that, because right now the way it reads is if there was a single legislative committee chair, then it would only require the one, but if there's two, right now it would require two.
Bates amendment, I will offer the amendment. Oh,
So this amendment would read, for clarification, we need the exact language, please. So,
The language I would suggest would say, upon receiving the invoices, either one of the legislative committee chairs or legislative committee chair shall review or verify. So that way it covers if there's ever a situation where there are not two.
I will move that.
Ford seconds.
Gums,
so just so a single chair or both chairs, if both are available.
No, the idea would be if one is only available, then one can approve it, or both can be available. But if that's, I guess, a policy question. So, but the reason I bring this up is because the question was brought. So if that's the way the board wants to go about it and they want the option to have one of them be able to approve it, then that's the language you need to change. If you want both to be required, then the language is correct as is.
All right.
I think Ms. Strathman had that in mind with hers. That was what you meant, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so we don't have to do a whole second, just incorporate that language into the one that she and Ford did. No,
Without objection?
Nice try.
let's try and speed things along a little bit.
No.
You know.
Without objection?
Well, then
Okay,
Venus
so
has got a motion with the language that Mr. Frank just.
motion, is
suggested.
there a second on that?
Mr. Ford seconded it.
Yep.
Mr. Ford seconded. Okay, very good. So now we have another. Do you understand the change in the language, everybody? What we're changing?
It means, one more.
One more. Ms. Bates, yes.
Well, does, it means one chair or the other can approve this. It doesn't have to be both.
Which means you have to find one of them.
One or the other, not both.
Oh, there should be a hierarchy.
No, but they're
That's not
both
what it
equal.
says.
They're not. There's not a
They
chair
are.
and a vice
Yeah.
chair.
I
No,
think
it's
you got
co-chair.
your answer
Oh,
right
oh,
there.
oh, oh. Didn't realize that.
They're co-chairs,
Not
not
a chair and
one.
Vice chair. they're
not a chair and a
co-chairs.
vice
I
chair.
take my stuff back.
Yep, I'm on the legislative.
I'm with
committee. I know
Surges.
these
We gotta go.
So either of the co-chairs may sign. Could we just do that? Either of the co-chairs may sign? Okay, either of the co-chairs.
There you go.
Is that what you moved?
Oh, boy.
Or is that,
Upon-
or that's what you're saying?
Never saw this before.
believe that when you put the word chair and then you put an apostrophe S, parentheses, S parentheses after it, it means one chair or the other.
Spell it out.
No.
I would,
Indicated you need to
I think the
clarify.
argument could be made one way or the other, but I would
Yes.
rather take my argument and just
Well, let's
make it
use,
clear.
let's use
Make
our
it clear.
SAO's wording.
Be clear.
We're gonna do.
Let's use the
This
wording
is
of our
what led
state's
to the
attorney.
downfall of the Roman Republic.
Yes, I believe you're correct.
All right, we've got other work to do.
Have we
Let's move
recorded
forward.
what
All right,
Mr.
so-
Frank said?
Oh, either of the co-chairs.
Okay,
Yep.
that's fine with me. That was
Very clear, very clear.
somebody at Ford, Mr. Ford.
Mr. Ford,
seconded?
is that fine with you?
Okay.
I'm
call the
still where I'm
question.
at
All
before.
righty, very good. Let's call the roll.
Yeah.
Alan,
This is a yes. One.
Let her vote.
Sorry, I've lost track. Are we requiring both?
No.
No.
This is one or the
Either of the
other.
All you gotta do is
co-chairs.
Find one of them.
Just find one, track
One.
down one.
I will vote. Alan, no.
Bates,
Yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Pepe.
Deppie, no. You're with Teppy.
Passes. To be moved on to the full board.
That was the amendment.
No, that's just the.
No, no,
Not
that's the
yet, one
amendment.
more.
Just the language.
One more
change.
time.
You are back to discussion for the fourth time. So I would tell you, if no one else has any discussion, you can call the roll.
I think we've discussed this in great depth and
Mhm.
detail. I appreciate a robust discussion. Are we ready to take the vote?
Change it, we fix it.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Now it's. to Take the Gums
All right,
amendment,
1 second.
just a little clarification. You only need one of the posters.
As amended.
Okay.
Attention. All right. Stop it. Alan, no.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, Alan, no. Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Davis,
Davis, no.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Linder,
Yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
I don't know.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe.
Deppie, no.
Passes.
Passes. All right. It will be moved on
We did,
forward.
but-
All right. On to finance.
Thank you, everybody.
It's over.
I have to go.
Bye.
They're gonna go and I have to go too.
Okay.
That's what I want to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you like to take a very quick break?
What I said was what I spoke with her, spoke with them.
You ready to go back and begin?
Hmm.
We got everybody? All right. Mr. Berman?
Berman's here.
Berman, let's call everybody. Miss Allen, we're taking roll again. Make sure we got everybody back on.
Hmm.
You want a donut?
Ellen? Just here.
Okay.
Just say, yeah, we're taking roll. Make sure we get everybody back in the room.
Bates,
Here.
Berman,
Here.
Davist, Ford. Ford,
I think it should have gone to the back committee.
Ford here.
Gums,
I agree with you.
Caius,
Highest present.
Kenyon,
In the room.
Lewis, Linder, Molina, Sanchez, Strathman,
Strathman here.
Surges,
Here.
Cheppy,
Pepe here.
Huron.
Here.
You have a quorum. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, very good. All right, Mr. Berman, your turn.
We have a quorum in the house.
I'll have it when I'm done.
Mine?
You're up.
How do we get to mine already?
Already.
Thank you.
Did we do transportation?
You're next. Got jumped
After us.
after finance. Going back into order again, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have 28 resolutions, which I move for approval. I will read each. One, resolution approving October 2023 claims paid $14,053,272.36. Two is a resolution authorizing fiscal year public defender's office budget adjustment of $558,728. Three is a resolution authorizing the buy board national purchasing cooperative agreement, $950 a year for 3 years, $28.50. Four is a resolution authorizing a contract for the Kane County annual roof inspection, repair, and replacement service of $214,410. Five, a resolution authorizing a contract for Kane County moving services, $300,000. Six is a resolution authorizing entering a professional service contract for collection of recycled material with eWorks electronic services for $9,000. Seven is a resolution approving and authorizing execution of an agreement with Cannon Cochran Management Services for workers' compensation and liability claims, third-party administrator, $71,620. Eight is a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with the Village of West Dundee and eWorks Electronic Services Incorporated for operation of the West Dundee Recycling Center in 2024 for $9,000. Nine, resolution authorizing collective bargaining agreement between the County of Kane, the Police Benevolent Labor Committee, 2023 for $66,342.91 and 2024 for $111,067.20. 10 is a resolution approving intergovernmental agreement between the City of Aurora, City of Elgin for the execution of the 2023 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant. That's the JAG Program Award. 8 is a resolution notification of renewal of sex offender treatment services. 12 is a resolution authorizing additional funds to Kellenberger Electric for judicial technology modernization for the Kane County 16th Judicial Circuit Court of $85,000. 13, a resolution authorizing acceptance of supplemental funding to support workforce services in partnership with the Chinese Mutual Aid Association and World Relief, $75,000. 14 is a resolution authorizing execution of a pledge agreement for 2023 to 2026 of $60,000. 15 is a resolution authorization to enter into a grant agreement. 16 is a resolution authorizing a grant agreement with the Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority for the award of the Residential Substance Abuse Treatment Grant to the Kane County Sheriff's Office, $190,000. 17, a resolution authorizing the Kane County Sheriff's Office purchase of a handheld X-ray imaging system $52,110. 18, a resolution approving the Kane County per diem meal rates for calendar year 2024. $64 a day, breakfast at 14, lunch 16, and dinner at 34. 19, a resolution authorizing the creation of a special fund for the Kane County Public Defenders Illinois Supreme Court allocation $104,978.08. 20 is a resolution authorizing a salary increase for the Executive Director of the Finance Department, $162,500. 21 is a resolution authorizing salary increase for the Executive Director of Information Technology and Building Management, $203,500. 22 is a resolution authorizing salary increase for the Executive Director of Human Resources Management Department, $137,000. 23 is a resolution authorizing salary increase for the Kane County Emergency Communication Director of Communications, $134,500. 24 is a resolution authorizing salary increase for the Supervisor of Assessments, $149,500. 25 is a resolution authorizing the salary increase for the Director of Development and Community Services, $148,000. 26 is a resolution authorizing salary increase for the Director Environmental and Water Resources, $103,000. 27 is a resolution authorizing salary increase for the Administrator of the Kane County Animal Control for $110,000. And 28, my final resolution, is authorizing a salary increase for the Executive Director of the House Department of $164,395.
All right. Yes.
I would
sir.
offer a second.
Oh, I was just.
Thank
all
you.
of
Thank
these.
you. Second. Is there any discussion on any of these items? Yes.
I
sir.
missed a couple. Could you read 12 through 28 again? No, just kidding.
Quickly.
Yes.
Get a little clarity on what number 13 is.
Actually, that was. Ask him.
Question on the floor for clarity of number 13.
The Chinese Mutual Aid Association.
Is anybody here to speak to that? Mr. Berger, are you here? Mr. Mr. Berman, can you provide clarification on this?
I cannot.
It's,
Yes, Miss Allen.
it's the Jobs Committee that oversaw this.
Right.
And it's just another outreach program that we have found that brings us money to shoot into directions to help people get more employment. And just, I just got a flyer in the mail that, our US rep, Raja,
Okay.
yes,
That guy.
I'm gonna do the guy on Big Bang Theory, and I didn't want to do that. That he is heading up a new committee that is looking for ways for our country to figure out ways to work with China to try and improve how we work together as opposed to just butting heads. So I think this is an extension. I don't know, chicken and eggs, I don't know which came first, but this is another program that will help us to find employment for our people.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Berger has joined us. Mr. Berger.
Yes, good afternoon, Madam Chair. I understand there are questions about our resolution. What I can explain is that this is a $75,000 allocation of state of Illinois funding. Each local workforce area has received an award amount. And one of the goals of the program is to work with the state of Illinois welcome centers that work with the immigrant population to better integrate them into the community. In our area, we have 2 Illinois Department of Human Services welcome centers, and we have reached out to both agencies, Chinese Mutual Aid Association and World Relief, and our intention is to implement the use of this state allocation to complement their work, and just as Ms. Allen said, to help that group, that population, attain employment. I hope that answers your questions.
Does that answer your question? Sir.
Enough for me to say I will require more information before the county vote on this.
Okay.
And this is my formal request for that information.
Okay. Okay, very good.
Up $75,000.
Just to understand what it's being used for and what the intent is.
Right.
It's being used for
Broad
employment
brush.
assistance.
So,
We
Mr.
can take it offline. I'm happy.
Okay, Mr. Berger, you will send out that information to the entire committee, please, so that
I'll-
everybody is on the same page.
Just to
I'll need some clarification. I mean, I can certainly provide a summary of the anticipated activities. I will say that we are currently working with these two agencies to craft a scope of services and put the program together.
A summary, I
So I
think.
may
would
not
be-
have,
Summary would be fine. And then if there's any additional questions, you'll receive a phone call
Yeah, I'll work.
from Mr. Surges.
I'm always happy to receive a phone call.
Okay,
Anytime.
thank you. Thank you,
Very good.
Mr. Berger.
Thank you.
All right. I have, if I may, I have one comment just for clarification as well. Mr. Berman, with your committee, and we did ask, but it was not returned. Just for clarity, number 14 and 15, it's not the resolution itself. It's simply the title of the resolution, but it's very opaque. We don't know what committee it's coming from and what, it's a pledge agreement. What does that mean? A grant agreement, what does that mean? So when it comes through your committee, if you could just ask for clarification on the title so that if you're reviewing it, you know exactly what department it's headed towards or what the grant agreement maybe be. The grant agreement is for the health department, pledge agreement is for, I think IT. So I think you get the drift.
Okay.
Transparency. Thank you. All right. Any other questions?
Can I go ahead of Human Services?
No, we have to take a vote on this. And then yes, Ken.
That's your gig.
Too much fun, too much.
Allen,
Alan, I. Bates, yes.
Berman, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Caius,
Obviously become delirious. Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe,
Yes.
passes.
All righty.
You can have all
Okay,
of them. I don't-
Human Services.
I don't
Madam
need 'em.
Chair, we have
I'm
one
full.
housekeeping item. Ordinance approving paid sick and personal leave benefits required for county employees.
Kenyon would second.
Thank you, Mr. Kenyon. Is there any discussion on this?
No.
None.
Boy.
Yourself, Mr. Surges. Anybody else? Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Alan, I.
Bates, Berman,
Berman, yes.
Davis,
Davis, yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Burgess, yes.
Tepe.
Good job.
Yes.
And that's how it's done,
Tep-
kids.
Tepes, yes, okay. Well, not in all
Oh.
cases. All right, transportation, Mr. Davis.
Fine example though, but that's all right.
Oh, this
Yeah.
is gonna be the tough
Dav-
one.
Davis here, Chairman for Transportation. I have 9 resolutions this morning, which I will move and seek a second for.
I'll second it.
Ford seconds.
Are you, okay,
You have 2 seconds, it's 4.
moved in second, yep, and a third.
All third.
All right, number 1, resolution approving our adopt a highway applicants. We've got 1 new and 1 renewal, Homegrown Carpentry and the Gustitis family. All right, number 2, approving an intergovernmental agreement with the Kane County Township Highway Road Districts to create the Township Road District Alliance of Kane County. It's just kind of continuing to formalize what has already been a very cooperative, collaborative relationship. Number 3, resolution approving a funding agreement between the County of Kane and PACE for the Ride and Cane program. You guys are all familiar with that. Number 4, approving an intergovernmental agreement with the state of Illinois for Phase 3 construction for Long Meadow Parkway Corridor Section C2B, C-2B, from east of Sand Bloom Road to Bowles Road Connector. It's like final stretch, right, Tom? There you go.
Yeah, right. You find something. You'll put it on.
Number five, number five, approving an amendment to accept planning technical assistance services delivered by the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning, or CMAP, as you guys normally hear it. Number six, approving a phase 1 and 2 engineering services agreement with HDR Inc. of Arlington Heights for Montgomery Road at Howell Place, Kane County, section long number. Number seven, approving an amendment to a phase 2 engineering services agreement with Trans Systems of Woodridge, Illinois for Doberman Road extension. Don't have, it might have a dollar amount for you here if I can find it. Not that you guys are gonna hold me to it. $25,000 to complete the review and approval of the engineering. Where was I? Number eight, approving a contract for construction with current contracting company of Crystal Lake for the Plank Road Highway Safety Improvement Project from Engle Road to Wan Road. We previously had brought this one without having all of the dollar figures. We now do. It's $1,684,000, federal dollars of 1.5 million, and then our portion will be, including contingency, about 218,000. Number nine, approving a phase 3 construction engineering services agreement with Chorba Group of Chicago for the Plank Road Highway Safety Improvement Project from Engle Road to Wan Road, which is a separate part of the same project, and it's $199,117. That's all we have for transportation.
Well done.
Roads are
Oh,
being
shoot.
built. Yes. Yes. Sir.
Mark, for your Adopt a Highway program,
Yes, sir.
do you know what stretch that's for?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I should have researched this and I did not.
Hold on. Tom would normally be able to answer, but he's given me his paperwork so that I could.
Here's,
That would be.
here's Tom. He's
Caius?
coming up.
Oh,
Um,
Hughes Road, Randall Road.
do you know it off the top of your head, Tim?
Yeah, there's the new applicant is for Hughes Road from Polly to Route 47. And that's both sides. And then the renewal is of the Gustus family is Randall Road 72 to I-90.
Very nice.
Okay.
Very
West
nice.
side.
The Gustitis family are constituents in the area, have been there for as long as I've known, before they've even had children. Their children are now in their 30s. I think their daughter just passed the bar exam. They're wonderful people, and I would like to go out of my way to give them a call and say, thanks for doing this.
So that's a very busy road.
Yep.
Very busy road.
Good one.
Thank you, both Homeground Carpentry and the Gustitas family. Thank them both very much. All right. So you ready to take a vote? Yes.
Just
Mr.
one
Cass?
comment, just to for background on resolution Township Road District approving an intergovernmental agreement with Kane County Township Highway Road Districts.
Number two?
I
Yep.
talked with David Schultz, who's our road commissioner, and he spoke highly of it. So
We've always enjoyed a very.
always agreed. Yeah. Right.
Good relationship with all of them in today's world, just have to formalize things because the state's attorney's office makes us do stuff like that.
Let's blame them.
Oh, look, he's nice.
But they only give us advice.
Wake him up, man.
I know, right? That's it.
And sometimes their advice is welcomed. All right, are we ready?
We know this sometimes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Where's the camera?
Allen,
Alan, I.
Bates,
Yes.
Berman,
Herman? Yes.
Davis? Yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Caius,
Yes.
Kenyon,
Yes.
Linder,
Yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe.
Yes.
Passes.
Very good. There is no need for, that's end of our consent agenda. There's no need for executive session. Do we have any committee reports? Everyone's quiet. Okay, very good.
Warm it up, Kenyon.
there's no public comment. Mr. Kenyon, are you ready?
Yes, if it's still daylight, I move we adjourn till next week, Tuesday. Let's make it a little smoother. Everybody tell me, and I suggest we order Prevagen for the board and we can start taking it. And then we will have smoother meetings.
That is
More
under
drugs and less talking. Is that what you're saying?
The adjournment,
Do I have a second?
supply line, yes. Is that the prejudice or prejudice?
The whole work, there, all of it.
All right, we have a sec. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed,
Aye.
no. Mr. Ford, you want to stay? Is that right?
I know, I
have a
said
good-
aye.
Aye, okay, very.
I thought he said.
Everyone have a great day. Thank you.
young man, you better tell Blair just what he missed.
Yeah.
This is a record meeting too.